You can eat what you want to eat, but you were lying about it. Stop trying to make me look stupid. I'm pissed. Just because I felt embarrassed.
Why you arguing tonight? Let's not argue tonight.
I'm not trying to.
Not arguing tonight. Listen, your eighth is mature, and she just wants you to apologize for.
Hey guys, welcome to Little Blackbird 91. Listen, yep, we gonna have one of those conversations. We're talking about obviously never ever mets, and I want to be honest with you. People got a little lying problem. People got a little drinking problem. People be up in people's little business. I mean, there's a lot of littles going on right now at the moment, and it's been an interesting episode actually to watch from my perspective. I think there was some interesting conversations that were happening across the board. We got to see obviously Clay and Tatiana finally go at it. He was lying about being a vegan whilst eating food behind the scenes. Hey, I understand. Brother said, listen, the food wasn't fulfilling him and secretly had to go and chomp. We had Jared and Charlie, who Jared has been, has seduced his way into the boom boom room, and now they're going to kick it off and do what they're going to do. But he's a whole damn liar. He's lied about his intentions towards that woman, and no matter how much I feel about her lying about the kids, he's also lying about wanting to actually have a relationship. And for me, I don't play those games. I don't like that kind of stuff. Like, you know what I'm saying to you, you're going to play the game, but don't play it that way. I think that's nasty games. Kiki and Brandon, little drinking problem. I think with Kiki's ish situation, first and foremost, they were talking 4 years into the relationship, which was an 8-year relationship, and then trying to talk about how her ex cheated on her. Baby, you was in 4-year relationship with somebody else who wasn't your man, okay? And now we're talking about drinking, and the issue that we have with the drinking is that she feels like, right, she can do whatever she wants, which is fair. She can be as free as she wants, but her drinking actually does affect people, right? She couldn't help in the kitchen once and twice. And she needs to sit down and rest a lot of times when they were meant to be helping. So clearly, drinking is an issue. It's actually hard. It's actually stopping you from being able to actually, function. So I think she needs to look at that as well. Then there's obviously Cinco and Jay. Shout out to them. Cinco and Jay said, listen, we're going to mind our business, sip our tea, and stay out of y'all business. We're going to make sure that we ain't involved in nothing. But they are surely here, and they are making it through quietly. I got to rate it. Oh my God. I'm tired of her here. But I rate it because, like I said, like when you stay out that kind of trouble, you might not get the screen time, but you go and definitely get the quality time that you need in order to develop your relationship. So I appreciate the fact they stay out people's business. Alicia and Erwin, let's be honest. There's problems on both sides here, of course. I think Alicia here is wanting some level of non-judgment, but she keeps doing things that are judgmental, right? So going to Brandon to tell him about he should talk to Kiki without actually understanding his situation. Yeah, baby, you probably shouldn't have done that. You was in someone else's business, and now you're getting called out. Yeah, now you're getting called out. Stay out of people's business, okay? When they haven't asked you for your opinion, don't go and volunteer it, especially when your house is a bit loose. If your house is a bit loose, sis, don't volunteer the information. Now, I think Erwin obviously was a bit tired of her shenanigans. Now, I think there was a part where he was leaving, and he said, just don't say anything. And I said, Charlie, you already said it. You didn't need to say it as you were leaving as well. I felt like he just added a little bit extra. You know what I mean? So I was like, yeah, just coming a little bit extra in that space, Just Erwin might need just to chill a little bit on the way he delivers, because he don't even be looking at her when he delivers information. Have you noticed that? They always sit adjacent to each other, and so it doesn't allow for there to be like eye contact. Now he did obviously shift and move to the other chair, which allowed him for more eye contact. But the second time they've done that. But and then Tay and Brittany. Let's be honest, okay? Tay and Brittany. I'm gonna be real with y'all. Tay and Brittany, let's be honest with this situation. Tay and Brittany, yeah. Tay and Brittany are the most interesting people because she was an alpha male, okay? And, wanting this alpha male situation. But she wants, obviously, Tay to give her attention. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it's okay to want attention. It's absolutely necessary for a relationship to function and to fare well. I think what was interesting about it though is probably the way that it's gone about, right? I feel like there's a need for conversation, and I feel like there was no conversation that they properly had. All we saw was her in the cutscenes, but not necessarily a conversation face to face with Tay as to what she actually needs. So at the moment, unless I see an actual physical conversation, at the moment it's been said in the cutscenes, but not necessarily being said to face, right? So you can't change that behavior unless you're saying face to face. Now, of course, Tay, I don't know what's up, why he not giving her the attention, or if that is the case again, what his reasoning, what's going on with him that he can't give her the time of day, because seemingly they thought they were both attracted to each other. So what's he also sensitive, because he said about how he feels disrespected, he feels like, you know, he feels disrespected by her, but he was saying it in the sense of like it's not the first time. So what is it that he's not receiving from her that he feels comfortable enough to be able to have that conversation and have a relationship with Brittany in the right way? So there seems to be a lot of hidden conversations that are not being said as well. So it's gonna be very interesting. I won't go deep. Like I said, it's meant to be a panel. I haven't put it here, but it is panel time. So we're going to definitely chop it up with some panel people and have a conversation as well. Before we do, let's make sure you guys are liking, you're sharing, you're subscribing, you're clicking on that bell button for notifications of the uploads, okay, as well. And we're going to definitely have a good conversation, okay, today. But yeah, I mean, personally, I think I will focus on, I think, the conversation again between Alyssa and Erwin. I think it's a really powerful one, right? I think I always say this, like, you know, it started off with because it was in someone else's business. You know what I mean? I always say it's like sometimes people be saying stuff and being involved in people's business, and nobody asks you. Just stay in your area code. Sometimes when you involve yourself in stuff, it don't be helping you, man. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just got to learn how to stay out of business and stay out of people's situation, because it be affecting people, you know? So, you know, for me personally, you know, I want to see this quickly. I'll just play this quickly.
Like, you're causing issues.
Like just now?
Let me talk. Like I said, give me attitude all you want. That's fine.
The only thing I've done today is mind my business.
But that's the thing.
Now let's pause it right here. Sis has not minded her business. This is why the problem is, right? The problem we have here is that Alicia sometimes will not take accountability because, again, there's a fragile ego, because, of course, for her, the pain is if she is wrong about something, then she is wrong. Not necessarily her behavior, but if she is wrong, then instead of her associating with her behavior, she's associating with her personhood. And so what's happening is whenever she gets corrected, she's feeling like it's an attack on her, and it's not. But it's because she doesn't feel safe herself, right? She always feels like if there's an attack, that's probably what she's experienced a lot in her childhood, right? People always telling her that she's wrong. But what she's not realizing is how she shows up. Okay, how you show up in the situation is very important, and now you're actually showing up the same way amongst other people. Okay, so now you've got another fella. It was first Tay, now it's this guy, now it's Brandon, and you're the common denominator in that situation. You try to play it off with the Brandon situation, and now we're here. So we're on 4 men so far, right? That Alicia's doing something with that's just not working. And again, at some point, you're gonna have to take accountability for why you keep showing up in those situations. And maybe she doesn't feel safe enough at this moment to take accountability. And that's understandable too. That's something that can be worked on between the both of them. Because again, she felt like she was being reprimanded by the situation. And I can understand why she might have felt that. I've been in a similar situation. Okay. The first mistake that they have right now is this conversation is adjacent. It is not face to face. And whenever you have that kind of conversation, you're going to miss certain cues, but you're also going to cause dissension between the two of you, because we're not looking at each other. The reason why we're not looking at each other is it's uncomfortable to look at each other now, because maybe I'm vexed at you, maybe I'm angry at you, maybe I'm hurt by you, right? So it can be very difficult then to look at that person and actually give them some grace or give them the love or the attention that they need in that moment, because we have sat side by side, shoulder to shoulder. Right. And in this situation where it's a bit difficult conversation, it's going to be a little bit emotional, it's going to be a little bit painful. It requires an eye to eye kind of conversation. Right. So Here we go.
You can't say, "Oh, I'm minding my business," and then make a comment on business.
Okay. I will say this. When I came inside from the pool, and I was like, why don't you just go talk to Kiki?
Now the problem is that Erwin has signed out. Okay, all right. He has signed out. Okay, he has signed out, and the problem is because Alicia keeps doing things. Now it's very frustrating when you have someone who does things, and it's frustrating, right? Because we've seen on several occasions with Alyssa and the way that she's behaved. We saw it with Brandon's situation. Someone's going to be angry about, of course. We have seen it with a situation when it came to going against Tay, but coming back with the information, not telling the full story. We've seen it with the situation in the kitchen, trying to tell people what to do. Like at some point, you're gonna have to take accountability for the way that you're showing up. It is not that the other person is perfect, but start taking accountability for the way you show up. Sometimes you are the common denominator who's causing issues, and there is only a level of grace someone can give you. They can't keep doing anything. And it got to a point today that even later on, when she was having a situation where she was dancing, he didn't say anything. He didn't say anything. And she was like, "What? I can't dance now?" And he said, "I didn't even say anything." Now, could he have returned to a more normal base after? Yeah, but it's annoying. It's after a while, it's annoying. It's like how many times we're gonna go through this, right? You know what I mean? But I think he could have returned to base at that point. I did feel like he could have returned to a more even kill. At that point, he also had lost his energy towards the situation. And he could have returned to a more even kill base as well. But I just feel like again, we're making issues when there is no issues there. I just felt like again once more. It's just like sometimes you just gotta take accountability for how you're showing up. And then the reason why he called her weird, she flipped it. He called you weird because you are now accusing him of saying you can't dance now, and he wasn't saying that. And in fact, people were there. That's the problem. People were also there watching. Like, wait, what happened? Like what happened? You know what I mean? So again, once more, it's like you just got to take accountability for the way that you're showing up in the situation, right? Like I said, I think the way at the end, he didn't need to add this extra part.
Yeah, I just have to pray for a moment because I'm getting over.
You're stressing me out. I look like a wild woman. I'm speaking in
Just don't
talk to me like that.
It was the last part here where he did a bit too much. I'll be honest with you. That last part, I think that last part was a little bit too much. You know what I'm saying to you? He could have left it where it was and he added a little bit extra in there. And I think that was something that he could have done that would have made it a better present. Because he already said to her, "Don't do that anymore." And she said, "Yes, okay, cool." And he could have left it there. And I think at that point, he should have left it there, but he said an extra one as he was leaving. And I didn't think he needed to do that. You know what I mean? I know he might be frustrated, but he didn't need to add the extra one because it was going to aggravate the situation. You know what I'm saying to you? And that's important, as well. So for me personally, I think there's some extra parts that she just needs to work on and, in that aspect, because I think obviously when they had the golfing situation, and then she was annoyed at him at falling asleep in the car and said it's a second date. Yeah, but he was not the only one. People were falling asleep in the car. Look at this. People are asleep in the car. Okay, people are asleep in the car. People were speaking in the car. Okay, people were asleep in the car, my friend. Okay, so again, Erwin wasn't the only one sleeping in the car. But that then became an issue for her. She said, "Well, it's a second date. Would you date someone if they fell asleep in a car? They called you weird." But there was a context to why they called you weird. It didn't come out of nowhere. It didn't just come out of thin air, right? He called you weird because you're saying to him, like, he's judging you for dancing, but he didn't say anything. He was just minding his business and eating his food.
It was like to have a healthy relationship. Yeah. That's what I think. I don't know. I don't even know what to think at this point.
Something is wrong. They need to call in a preacher. Something is wrong with these men.
Something's wrong.
Something's wrong.
And I think the fact of the matter is the ladies also think they're better than the men here. You're not no better, okay? You're saying there's something wrong with the men. No, there is something wrong with both of y'all. That's why you're even here, okay? All right. So for her to say obviously toxic relationship, it's not even toxic. It's just that there needs to be a situation. Okay. There needs to be a situation where you need to start showing up in a particular way, and so in that space, she needs to learn that she's contributing towards the bad relation, towards the relationship not working out the way it needs to work out. Okay. And for me personally, I see a lot of unaccountable behaviors, and actually it's intriguing because when the men are actually unaccountable, it's easy to spot. She's unaccountable in a lot of behaviors, and I think that is a really big thing. And having dated someone like that, you will always end up losing, which is why I don't play with people like that. If they're not going to be accountable, I don't play with people who are not accountable, because what will end up happening is you will end up losing, because eventually they will turn it on you, and then it's like we're both rolling in the mud at that point. Don't roll in the mud. As soon as I see people that are not accountable for their behaviors, no self-awareness about what they do and how they show up, at that point I bow out, because you're liable to increase the behaviors, and then it will be both of us. And I'm not trying to have a both of us situation. This is on you. If you can't be accountable, that's on you. You know what I'm saying too? And if I've told you certain things about the way you're behaving, you know what I'm saying too, it's important for you to look at. Now, of course, there were also always things that we can always work on the other side as well. But the reality of the situation is, Sis ain't taking no accountability, and we need her to take some accountability. She did better today because she was saying it, but she was trying to rush the conversation off again. And I said this last time when they had a conversation. She tries to rush the conversation off, and you can't rush the conversation off. When you're rushing the conversation off, it's because you're afraid of going deeper with that conversation and how it may make you feel a discomfort, also how it may make you look. But the reality is, we have to have that conversation in order to be able to flush out some of those ideas as well. Okay. I think that's important as well. Okay. So that's just something that I noticed with Alyssa and Erwin. I know he was stressed out going to talk to her again, because he's like, damn, someone else is now saying your girl is doing what she's doing. And like he explained, I want to protect you, I want to make sure you're good. But I can't do that from where I am. Do you know what I mean? I have to make sure that you are safe as well. And he did have that conversation with her as well. So that's something to look at. You know what I mean? That's something to look at. I ain't gonna be mad at it, But let me get some people on to have this conversation, discuss this particular show, because I think it was quite an intriguing one. Okay, all right. So listen, if you're here, make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, click on that bell button for notification of the uploads. We appreciate you. Stay locked, stay loaded. We're about to chop it up and get into some conversation as well. All right, let me get Jay and let me get El Cidio on. Yes. What's good, people? What is good? How are we doing tonight? How are we doing?
Sorry, I got you in the background playing. I'm good. How's everybody doing? Okay, El Cid, I see you with the curls. Come through with the curls, girl.
Summertime, too humid in Georgia for long hair, but thank you.
Yes, Elsie, we appreciate you. No worries. We'll take the compliment for you. But yeah, listen, it's good to have you guys on, you ladies on as well, sorry. And discuss this episode, because it was a lot of things that were going on. I think, like I said, it's a lot of things are going on in terms of people's secrets, a lot of things in terms of in terms of some of the conversations that are going on, there's issues, in the way that things are being dealt with. People got a little lying problem, people got getting triggered, people are dealing with little secrets, little children here and there. There's a lot going on, a lot of things. Even Tatiana herself, man, I said, damn, she was right to call him out though. I mean, listen, he was lying, so I ain't gonna hold him on that. The vegan thing was unnecessary. But when she said she felt betrayed, I said, that's a deeper wound. Not that she's bad. I said that's a deeper wound that goes beyond, I think, Clay. There might be something we need to, go a little bit deeper with, but that's another. We'll do that a little bit later on as well, I'm sure. But I want to get your thoughts just overall. What couple stood out to you? What story stood out to you, El Cid? What was one of the main ones on this particular episode? Which one stood out for you today?
What stood out to me is why Alicia feel the need to speak in tongues when Irvin is speaking quite calmly. I mean, why are we going all the way there? Then Ty and Brittany, there's a whole piece of that conversation we did not see, that it escalated, because the way he was sitting, we saw two different ways Ty was sitting. We saw the arrangement of the people in the room were in different places when they changed frame. There's a whole piece of that. He's still wrong for cursing at her, but there's a whole piece of that conversation we missed.
Definitely hear you on that. Definitely, the vibe went to 100 too quickly. Jay, what? Oh, I know you was. I know you're a little busy.
No, I guess my camera is freezing or something again. I don't know.
Oh, is it? Oh,
yeah, because I don't know if y'all seen me, but it looked black on my screen.
Oh no, we were seeing you, but I think it did go black. But what was I guess the main story or couple that stood out to you in this particular episode this time around?
I've been telling y'all, watch for Ty. I've been telling y'all that it's gonna be coming. She need to watch out from. But I'm gonna stay with Irvin and Alicia because it's still a lot going there. But y'all missing some things because I know we not really talking about Cinco and Jay, but it's brewing because there was a little snippet, a little back and forth. I know I love one thing I'm gonna say. I love the way Cinco mind his business and stay out the mess or whatever. But Jay don't be staying out the mess. Okay. You can make faces, El said. He stay out the mess because he be telling them brothers real quick, that's y'all, not me. They be bringing his mess to him. Unlike Alicia, he don't be chasing people down and say, don't bring your mess to me. They be bringing his mess to him. And he be like, I ain't in that business.
He pillow talking that mess.
You look crazy. All right, let's jump straight into it then. Because these couples, it ain't easy. Let's talk about obviously Tay and Brittany. They got into a big fight towards the end of the episode, and we saw them kind of go at it. And it's interesting because we haven't really, as much as we've seen her talk about him not necessarily being the alpha that she necessarily wants, or this episode not showing the interest that necessarily that she wants as well. Sorry, Ty. Yeah. We haven't really actually seen much from them. You know what I mean? Like I know they have one or two little snippets, but nothing really has led us to this point. But what's your thoughts on the beef today? Because they obviously went from 0 to 100 after these two were cooking for everybody and feeling nice. What's your thoughts on this situation from Ty and Brittany? What was your conclusion for them? Kick us off, El said.
Yeah, like I said before, there's a whole batch of that conversation we did not see. I do not agree with cursing at your partner. You could curse in front of your partner, you could express how you can, but cursing at them isn't a path to reconciliation later. And yes, Jay has been saying, and we have discussed it, is that what happens when the smile fades? What happens when he gets angry? And we see that here. And not to pick up for Ty at all. Brittany needs to express that she needs more time. She needs more of his attention. And I don't know if she's expressed that or if she did, that he's ignoring her. Now, what I will say for Ty is that he's been telling us a little snippets that she ain't responsive to him. Because at the massage thing, he's like, hey, she don't make them sounds when I attempt to massage her, when I attempt, it sounded like in little snippets, when I attempt to be nice to her, it doesn't land. And so I'm thinking Ty is operating in like, she has rejected me one too many times. So I'm please everybody else because everybody else seems to like me. And, that is not going to build for a good relationship at all. They just need to, communicate with each other. Say exactly what you feel, what you think. And if it ain't landing, you got to tell him. He can't know by osmosis. But definitely do not be cursing at your partner.
Well, El said, in all fairness, not all masseuses know how to hit that spot to make you go, ooh and ah. Okay, so clearly he don't have the right touch to make the oohs and ahs, okay? But when he started off with, oh, girl, like that's not your girl, sir, sitting right there. You was ready for war. or whatever. And then you want to sit here and make the comment of, oh, she asked me for a drink while she's sitting up in the pool. I'm trying to cook for everybody. So what, I was supposed to just stop and not go get the pasta salad for everybody and then go and get her drink. Like, sir, you could have told her, I'm gonna grab the pasta salad real quick and then I get it. There's a communication two-way street too. So just like she can sit there and say, hey, can I get more time? He can communicate, hey, I'm right after I get this, or I got you, or I'm a little busy right now, but don't sit here and have a sidebar conversation in front of her and then label her, oh girl. Like, is she just one of the girls that you got in your stable or something, sir? Like, what is really going on? So I wouldn't be responsive to him either, because you're giving me like I'm not your only one energy. So I'm not really mad at her in this moment. Now, you could have got your butt up out the pool or made you a nice little picture so you wouldn't have to worry about calling nobody to go get you nothing or whatever, especially when he is trying to feed you and everybody else. Now, she does have a point, and I agree with her on this point right here. And don't big me up on things that you're going to do for me, and then when I see you, you don't do them. That's a big pet peeve for me. And he supposedly been bigging up how he going to cook for her. He hasn't checked on what type of food she wants, none of this stuff. So you're pleasing everybody in the house but your lady. It's kind of weird. So I'll leave it there.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, when she mentioned that he was doing, he said he was going to cook, do all that kind of things, and it suddenly stopped. My first thought was, why has it not that it stopped? He hasn't done it since they've been here. I said, either he's lying or something's preventing him from doing that. We need a conversation to get to that place because something's not happening. Something is off here. Like, either you don't like her, or are you seeing something? What are you? If you're seeing something that's stopping you from trying to do this, like, something's not quite right. You know what I'm saying, Chu? Like, we're seeing you not being able to be at your best. We're seeing you not able to supply towards things that you said you would love to do. When he loves cooking, clearly, because he was cooking again today. You know what I'm saying, Chu? So there's always a case of like, this is something that you love doing. So why is it that now suddenly you're not doing it? So it's actually different from if he was saying he loves to cook for her and never cooked at all. You know, some people would say like, I can cook and do all those things, and you know they can't do jack all. But this man can actually cook, clearly, and he loves cooking. Why is he not cooking for you? What's happened between what's gone on between the two of you that we've not seen that is contributing towards this thing? And I think there needs to be another scene. There's something we've missed that is showing us as to why this hasn't happened. Something between that breakfast, between that dinner they cooked together, and between here, something's happened that we're not privy to into the way that they're dealing with things. Because in that, when they were cooking, they seemed to be together. They were on point together. Maybe she saw some things, I don't know. Maybe she changed her behavior towards him, or maybe he saw her towards him. Do you know what I'm saying to you? Either way, there was something that's happened as to what he's seen, right? And that doesn't make him right, that doesn't make him wrong. It just means that there's something that's happened that we need to understand to be able to decipher what's really going on between the two of them. You know, I think it wasn't the best way that he handled things in terms of the argument. I think when you guys go across each other the way they do, you don't want to go back and forth like that. Like I said, that's what I mean by not necessarily arguing with your girl. You don't want it to get to that stage where you get to cuss each other out. It's just not conducive, and it's not good for the longevity of your relationship. Yes, Jay, you were going to say something?
Yeah.
Welcome,
Hey,
Sean.
Sean. I was just going to add on to what you were saying. What's is missing is given that Ty is a bit transactional. And if he can't get what he want out the deal, he gonna stop doing for you. Or he's like some of them brothers that be, and sisters, I ain't gonna hold y'all, because there be some of them that'll talk y'all up on all these things that they gonna do, but they just talking until they get what they want, and then none of that stuff gets done. And it's either that, or like you said, they had a sidebar conversation where she probably corrected him on some of the stuff, probably the situation with Alicia, and he don't like it, so now he acting some type of way towards her, which is causing her to be standoffish in some type of way towards him. But I'm getting transactional from him.
Welcome, Sean. I don't know if you want to jump in. We're talking about Ty and Brittany and their little beef that they had, and her, you know, saying that he's not paying her attention and stuff. So I want to get what your thoughts were. How did you glean it? What did you see? What did you feel about this too?
Sure. So what's up, everybody? Nice to be back. I missed you guys. So, you know, it's good to be in his service. But I'm leaning towards what I've heard up to this point. I remember even something that Jay had said in the beginning when Ty first had that meltdown, I'll call it, with Alicia. And again, not excusing Alicia for her interaction, but just dealing with his response and seeing how he now responds to Brittany. And I remember, Jay, you were just saying, like, you know, be cautious because that same energy that he has for Alicia can now easily be redirected to her. And now we're seeing it. And unfortunately, this was the one couple that we wanted to root for. And unfortunately, doesn't look like we can root for them. And I think, again, another point that I had, Jay kind of said it, in terms of him being transactional. I think people like Ty are performative, although they have skill sets, and I can identify with him because I love to cook as well. But I also can see a little bit of it sometimes being performative, sometimes being transactional. Like, I'm going to do this for you if you do this for me, versus just genuinely wanting to share something that means something to you and not having it be conditional on how that person does something for you. So I get that. I do see that the both of them do struggle with communication, right? Because in that whole poolside scene, I think Brittany also could have navigated that, like sending him inside to get a drink, and then they were like shouting back and forth across the pool. You know, I see how they both played a role in that breakdown there, but I think it's just communication, and I think expectations. We're seeing a lot of that with a lot of these couples. What happens when people's expectations don't meet reality? So I think for him, he had an expectation of what was going to happen when he met Brittany, and I think she had an expectation of what was going to happen when she met him. And then we meet each other, and then we really show up as who we are. So I think people need to deal with that, and also give people room on both ends to be who they truly are versus who we've created them to be in our heads from this virtual relationship that took place before our meeting.
Oh, Sid, you want to add anything to that?
No, I'm good. Hello, Sean.
And might I say, Sid, I love the braids. You got the shoulders out. What's going on here?
I just said hello quite nicely. Thank you, Sean.
I was giving you a compliment.
Wow,
It's the humidity
Sid.
of Georgia. Thank you.
Wow, Sid, that was you.
Okay. I'm not going to be like Ty and fuss with you. I'll leave you alone.
I got Brittany's braids, so we can fuss. We can have no pool here, but we can,
No.
we can fuss across the street.
I don't want to fuss.
All right. If we haven't got any other more thoughts towards them, we'll move on to the next couple then. Let's talk about, obviously, then Kiki and Brandon. They say, Kiki, do you love me? Are you riding? Because at this point, Kiki done said a whole lot of stuff this time round. We have the drinking issue, which, again, I can understand why she might have felt some way as well, because it is, if someone is monitoring you over your shoulder, it is not the most easiest thing to deal with. So I do understand that. There is obviously an issue around, the fact that she let us know that she has a secret. She has a secret. Her secret is that she feels like, not even feels like, sorry. She was talking to Brandon 4 years towards the end of the relationship. So like the last 4 years, I'm guessing she was talking to Brandon. I'm guessing after the ex cheated. So in the end, she also was cheating emotionally. Maybe she wasn't doing it physically, but she was emotionally cheating at the end. Okay. But yet she's still angry at her ex with situation, because I think it only ended 4 months ago. And I'm like, sis, you still angry? You're not angry at your ex. You're probably angry at yourself. You haven't worked through some of these emotions and grieved the actual relationship as well. So I totally understand that perspective. I think for obviously Kiki, I think she might have felt like a little bit controlled by maybe the continuation of conversation. I think it would have been better suited maybe for Brandon, and I think that was done well by the therapist. When you get a decent no offense to anybody else, but when you get a good therapist like this young lady here, she has been very good. Last season she was also very good as well. I've seen her in other places. She was able to really explain something very simple, to let Brandon know that, hey, your triggers and your wounds may also be bleeding a little bit on Kiki here in terms of the way that you're delivering the information. You're not wrong about how you're talking about it. It is the way you're delivering the information. And oftentimes that's actually usually the issue when it comes to people. It's not necessarily what it is, it's the delivery of it and the timing and the season of that particular issue as well, right? But I want to get you guys' thoughts on Kiki and Brandon, the secret, the drinking, the is it overbearingness of Brandon in that sense, talking to everybody apparently as well. So what's your thoughts on this Kiki and Brandon situation? How are we viewing it? How are we seeing it as well? Who would like to kick us off here?
I got it. Thank you, Brandon, for finally telling us the reason why you are so adamant about her drinking. And I did listen to it back. Kiki kind of already knew this situation and whatnot and stuff. But at the end of the day, Brandon still needs to learn how to address people with certain addiction issues, because the way he's going about it he pushes them towards it more than pushes them away. There's a certain way that you have to talk to him and stuff. And, he can benefit from like some of those classes, AA classes as well, because you do learn a lot. You don't have to be a alcoholic or anything to be a part like of those classes. So him might just need to take a second, go take some of them classes, learn how to deal with it or whatnot. But Kiki, you do have a little issue, mommy. You have an issue. And we got to address it. And I'm glad the doctor had really got down to it, because you're soothing through the bottle. And you're a fun girl already. It doesn't seem like that you need it to be fun or whatever. She liked to say, I'm getting out of my head. Like, we're not seeing you crying all day grieving your mother. Now, I don't know if it's because you're drinking all day. But if you're running around and you've been crying all day grieving your mother, you gotta have to find something else to deal with that. You gotta put your energy into something else, because the bottle is just not it. That does just so much more damage to you overall than it does help you. So we need to start there. Secondly, ma'am, your ex-fiance was cheating on you, quote, quote, I'm doing air quotes here. So you started 4 years later cheating back, but you stayed another 4 years because y'all was together a total of 8 years. Ma'am, I don't understand. We got so many more questions. I just need to know why you were still in this relationship so long or whatever. When did you become a fiance in this relationship? When did the cheating start on both y'all? Well, we know 4 years ago for you emotionally, but is Brandon the only person you've been talking to too? Because ma'am, say what now? Say what? It's a lot going on over here with Kiki. Okay, that bottle is hiding you from a lot of other things. You just now left your ex 4 months ago, and you want to talk about how you want to tell Brandon this. Brandon should have known this from the rip. Y'all is in two different spaces. I mean, I think y'all live down the street from each other, but still, y'all in two different spaces. This is something he could have knew from the rip, like, hey, I'm in a situation right now, but maybe I could meet you next lifetime or something. I don't know. But you should have gave him that choice. Now you coming off as an abusive drinker, because I ain't gonna call you an alcoholic, but you're an abusive drinker, and on top of it, you a cheater and a liar. Oh, it's not looking good for you, Kiki. It's not looking good. I just say, you know what, just go ahead and tell Brandon the truth and move on about your life, or don't, just move on with your life. Okay, either way it goes, just move on.
I'm glad we heard it from Brandon. As I said before, it sounded when he stood up and was pointing at her, it sounded like an echo from a previous issue or trauma he had with someone in his past. And I'm glad he told it to Dr. Ali. I'm glad he told it to us, because it seemed like it was deep, deep within that he was not speaking actually just to Kiki. With that, his solution for it, to drink with her later that night, I was not in favor of that, but I am certainly not his therapist. I am no Dr. Alley, but it could be seen as, you know, encouraging the drinking, encouraging the behavior. Because if we saw in the clip, you know, Kiki can't even make it to her room sometimes because she drinks too much. One of us got to be sober enough to make it up the stairs. Also, the way Dr. Alley gathered Kiki about her drinking ever so gently was more gently than I would have, because I would have been the wrong approach, the Brandon approach. But the way she let her know what the studies say a binge is versus what Kiki actually does, I hope it opened Kiki's eyes. Because we saw later on that Kiki may have, you know, curbed the amount of drinking she was doing just for that golf event. So if it had the desired effect, you know, here, you know, Dr. Alley. But I'm glad they're able to speak. I don't know if we can repair this, but if Kiki's here for vacation, that means Kiki ain't really here to really get to know Brandon at all. Because it's like, I'm here on vacation. I haven't heard Kiki really say too much about building with Brandon, learning more about Brandon. It's like, I'm here on vacation. I'm here to drink and have a good time. So I don't know why Kiki is here other than to, you know, taste test the bottles in the house.
It's all inclusive resort. I'm gonna say this real quick before you go, Sean. As a person who's a bartender here and has to actually take a liquor license, like RBS test and all this stuff like that, though Doc gave the average amount of drinks and standard for what it is, Kiki really didn't curve nothing, because when you're taking shots, that hits a lot faster and harder sooner. So it's actually less in shots than it is actual drinks, meaning mixed drinks and stuff like that. So what the doctor was giving, like the standard or average of a mixed drink, not shots. So her taking shots later on in the night, it still didn't change much of anything, especially for a lady that don't like to drink water, as we seen. And then the man stealing her cokes in her sleep. So what's she supposed to do? She's dehydrated. Okay. All right, Sean. Sorry about that.
Well, I have a lot of opinions. Some of them are going to be unpopular. Well, I'll start with, I'm going to slow walk you guys into the things I think you're going to be able to agree with me on. I do see that Kiki's drinking is problematic. So I definitely can acknowledge that, and I understand that. I also, obviously, this is the season of secrets when it comes to Never Ever Mets, because everybody got something that they are, you know, holding back, not being, you know, forward about. I also think we can all agree that Brandon's approach is not the right way to go about it when you have an issue with someone that you're building a relationship with. Now, I think I've just heard a lot of fodder about, oh, he cares about her. He just wants to help her. He wants to keep her from harming herself. I don't think so. I think that he is projecting his trauma onto her, and it is triggering him, and he is magnifying what is an issue, but he's magnifying it and then wants to control her. He does want to control her, you know, and I think like that's something that we as men, I've had to walk this path and really self-examine it, and we all know, you know, the phase I'm in. And I think it's a lot like men, we really need to wrestle with this idea of controlling a woman. We see it in, and I don't know if you guys talked about it with Erwin. I think we need to release ourselves of this hold that women need us to guide them along the way and tell them what to do. And I think a lot of his behavior is rooted in that. And Kiki is acknowledging and seeing the signs. And I hope that she can get away so that he can heal and learn from this behavior. It doesn't make him the worst person. I'm not saying, oh my God, he's horrible. No. I think that he really needs to deal with that fact. First, deal with the trauma, and then understand that it's not up to him to control her. He can acknowledge and understand the behavior, right? Saying, hey, listen, I'm seeing her drinking. I'm seeing it being excessive. I'm seeing it being problematic. It's not something that aligns with me, but I don't need to constantly manage her. You know, and I saw that a couple of times when Kiki was advocating for herself, saying, hey, I'm not a child. You're not my dad. Because as much as you can see something that's an issue, especially this early on, you haven't earned the right, or the person hasn't even given you permission to be the person to tell them what they're doing. Right? I think sometimes we have this implied understanding that because we're in a relationship, that means I have the right to tell you what to do. No, that comes over time and when the person wants it from you. Because even if she does happen to be somebody that is abusing alcohol, you're not going to fix it. You're never going to fix it. So as much as you think you have the knowledge, the foresight, you can't fix somebody that has an issue abusing a substance. I don't care how much you tell them, how much you try to manage them. You're going to push them in a different direction, and you're going to then stress yourself and be part of a very bad dynamic. Again, I think I have a little soft spot for Dr. Ali. I love how she handled it by bringing awareness to the drinking, but also, letting Brandon know, chill out. And then also having a one-on-one conversation with Kiki to really break down some of the things that she was doing and break down some of the things that were challenges in the relationship, uncovering that she's holding back some things. I think that's, really realizing what the drinking is doing and why you're doing it in excess, and really kind of talking directly to her.
Can we speak on that one thing that Sean brought up, though, the controlling aspect, especially that part right there, and combine it with his childhood traumas? Because a lot of us suffer this in different ways. His happened to be manifesting in the alcohol or whatnot, but a lot of us have traumas that we carry over into relationships and make us a little controlling. Like mine was more like an abandonment issue, so therefore I would try to dictate and control how situations play out or whatnot, instead of just letting them breathe and just go with the situation and see if I fit in or not, and move along or whatever. And I think, like in this case, especially with Brandon and with the alcohol issue, it's not just about controlling his woman or any woman. I think in his small group of friends, he may be just the same type of person too. If his friends are getting too drunk, that issue may stem all over the place and stuff. And so sometimes when we are triggered by childhood traumas, we need to go heal those things first, get those out the way, and stop trying to micromanage the people that are close around us, because we can only do so much. The whole scripture says, control what you can and give strength to the things that you can't. So he needs to learn how to just control what he can about himself, because now him and Kiki is at the pool arguing, and she telling him, well, stay out my business. And now he's upset saying, yeah, now I will. That doesn't help any situation. You know what I'm saying? You supposedly care about this girl. You're going to still be in her business. So these childhood traumas have to be resolved at some point, especially when you know what they are. So you don't carry this stuff into your relationship and sabotage them, because you're just not healed by other things that was not even, in this case, it's not even directly affected him. This affected with your mom, what you've seen and stuff. So you're trying to control your whole relationship, but based off of your mom's relationship. So you got to be careful on that too.
And I would want to point out with something else that Sean said, in the fact of being the leader, you would have to offer some type of guidance. Now, I would say how he's trying to offer that guidance is with a sledgehammer, when he could do it more gently. He needs to learn how to guide, learn how to lead her. But I do think that a form of guidance should be in there. It's just he ain't doing it in a particular way, and she's not receptive to it at this time at all.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I understand that, but leading who and where? you know, because I think we get so comfortable with these terms like a man is supposed to lead, right? Yeah, theoretically, I guess we can go with that concept, right? But leading who? Are you supposed to be leading yourself first? Because if you are leading and managing, right, that means you've mastered the art of yourself first. Brandon still has things he needs to master and understand first before he needs to start telling Kiki what to do. I think that's one. And then two, you can't walk into a scenario where you just met someone and then you start leading them. It's never going to work that way. Not a full-grown adult. Like, you can't just walk into, I meet you day 2 and we're just started seeing each other physically, right? Yes, we had this romantic relationship that took place online, but then I'm going to walk on the scene and now I'm going to start calling you out and telling you the things that you're doing are wrong and coming up with ways to do things. I just think, you know, I just don't think that really works in theory with an adult. I don't think like a man just steps into the scene and just starts telling a woman that he just laid eyes on how to do things, you know, because if he was really leading and thinking intentionally and caring about her, he wouldn't have put her in lingerie and did a photo shoot with her the first time he met her, you know. Because when you really care about somebody, you care about somebody. When you genuinely want the best for them, you think about them. And even she expressed some discomfort in that and feeling like maybe he was objectifying her. So if we want to wear this leader hat, we need to really wear it in all aspects and not just the things that we think are problematic, but also examining ourselves and being the leaders for ourselves that we, you know, expect somebody else to listen to.
So I'll add maybe the opposite side of what Sean said, not to counter, but rather to give an other perspective, looking at it another way. I think this is a very tricky situation, right? Because like you've mentioned about leadership, leadership is not about perfection. So you're not going to be perfect in order to lead. I don't think he did it in the right way because I think he was triggered, right? And I think this is actually an indication of how human you can be, whether you're a man or a woman. Once you are triggered by something, you need to be aware of those triggers so you can learn how to change some things. I think in this particular difficult situation, there's been a series of events that have caused some issues, i.e. what happened with the kitchen situation where we're together, we're supposed to be working together, and we're supposed to cook food, and you've decided to desert. Now, you're not deserted because you were tired. You deserted because you were drinking. So now the drinking has actually become an issue. Beforehand, you might have been high functioning and managing your drinking. But now your drinking is now impeding your ability to even come into the kitchen and cook, not only with me, but with now causing other people to come and to cover your ass. And not only are they covering your ass, you're now walking outside with somebody else and having a lounge and a chat whilst you're supposed to be sick. Yeah, now we're going to look at you differently about this drinking. So are you seriously sick? Now we're going to start asking questions. And at that point, you now are going to be looked at differently in how you're going to be observed. Okay, so now we're going to have to look at you and say, are those aspects really true? Now, how he handled it, I don't like the fact that when he came in a room, he came in with an accusation straight away about the drinking. I don't think that was the best way to do it, right? That's not the best. If we're talking about best practice, that is not the best practice to do, right? But does that negate the fact that he could be a good leader? No. Do we make mistakes as leaders and how we approach things? Absolutely. Do I think he's brash and or you know, overdoing it? I think there's aspects of the way that sometimes he can come off a little bit brash, and maybe the triggering is what's happening right now, right? When you're triggered and you haven't learned the regulation all the way through in that place and not realizing that you actually are being triggered, the way you're addressing it's going to come off a bit more harshly than it needs to come off, right? There could have been a bit more space for inquiry and understanding. And I agree with you. Like when you first meet someone, it's going to be very difficult just to try and tell them what to do. I think that there's a different aspect here. There's a safety issue here. Your drinking has actually become a safety issue. Your drinking stopped you from having to cook food. Not because you were drunk, but because you said you were sick. And then you started walking suddenly and having a Jesus moment and you were healed. And you were walking outside having a lounge and a chat. Yes, people are going to start looking at you differently, which is why not only did he say something, but everybody else got onto her too. Because everyone else saw what you were doing. And at that point, we have to be aware that now your behavior, you need to be able to see it for what it is. Now, here's my thing. I personally don't think that Brandon should be there. I don't think anybody should be supporting her. I'll be honest with you. I think she needs therapy by herself, and I think you need to leave her ass alone, personally. Okay. I don't deal with people that have addictions. It's just not for me. If you can do it, I'm just not going to do it. I just see that I'm not a savior anymore. I can't save nobody, like Sean was saying. I can't change you. So this is something you need to do. And I think he got to that stage the day before, but I think, again, we're still on the show and maybe you're trying to stick it out. And you're realizing you're just probably not going to be able to have the strength to be able to do it. It's going to produce a codependence behavior in that particular aspect. So I think in that aspect, that the doctor did really, really well to highlight both of their issues and where they can start to work on in terms of like telling her how many drinks. Okay, she was very polite about it, but she was letting her know you're a binge drinker. You need to wake up because you're actually dangerous to yourself. If anything happens to her now, and I didn't say anything, imagine now she drinks and something happens to her. Now you start feeling bad. Because now, whether you were not trying to micromanage or not, you're now going to be responsible. Because you're going to feel like, I could have said something, I could have done something. Of course, you can't really change anything because whatever the person chooses to do, the blood is now going to be on your hands. And that's actually the difficulty of the situation, which is why I don't think this is a case of a man trying to control a woman. I think it's a case of someone's triggered. And as they're triggered, it's leading them to overshoot and overreach in the situation. I think that happens with both men and women. It's a bit like Alicia being controlling. She's not controlling of men. She's just a controlling person because of her fears, right? So I don't think it's a man or a woman situation where it's a man versus... No. I just think this is a trigger situation where you're triggered. And unfortunately, you want to try and keep the person safe. And you're triggered because you're seeing it as, I've witnessed this before. And I'm trying to change history. But you're not realizing that you're triggered. And so you actually need to do some healing for yourself so that you can also show up in a very sturdy, regulated manner as well, so that you're not over kicking or overreaching in a scenario. But I'm glad the doctor really called her out, because that unaccountable behavior leads to someone passing out and passing over. Okay, and Passover is already done. We're in April, we're gone past. We don't know anybody else passing over. Okay, the good Lord done that for you. So for me personally, it's like, drinking is a very dangerous thing. It's like drugs, it's like anything. You think you're good, and one day it takes you out. You know what I'm saying, Chu? So I think I'm agreeing with you, Sean. I'm saying that, I think he has to work on those aspects in the control. When the fear that leads to a control in the behavior, I think that needs to be also looked at. But I do understand why he is very protective over her, because I can see it from that position. I can also see it from a protective perspective, that you are trying to protect the other person, because you can see them going down a particular line, you know what I'm saying to you. So, yeah. If anyone wants to add, sorry.
Yeah, no, I think, I agree with you. And I agree with pretty much what everyone is saying around some of the issues with Kiki. I think there's a lot of different layers, but I also see some issues with Brandon just in general. And I definitely didn't think he needed to be perfect, but I do think that straight out the gate, if you're setting up a photo shoot with her to be in lingerie, you're objectifying her. And it is what it is. And there's a level of care that you don't have for her, and if you are willing to do that at your own enjoyment. So I just think, and again, I'm not enabling her, but I think like we have to call things. And I think that I see Nola saying the boundary issues. Oh, 100%. If you know anything about me, I'm gonna build a boundary. I know how to do that, but the boundary is for you. And I think sometimes people misinterpret a boundary and they make it for the other person. No, the boundary that you're creating is for you. Your boundary doesn't control somebody else. And what Brandon was doing was attempting to control Kiki. If he wanted to create a boundary for himself around alcohol, he would explain to her, hey, listen, like a part of what he did, you know, I'm not taking away that he did explain to her some of the things that happened that do trigger him, but say, hey, listen, when I see people get excessively drunk, it turns me off. When I see someone drinking to excess and then not being able to do the things they said they were going to do, it's a major turnoff for me. And that's it. And when she does it, hey, listen, you're doing the very thing that, you know, I mentioned before that is a turnoff for me. Hard stop. It's about you creating boundaries for things that you don't want. Not telling her, hey, you had 3 drinks. Is that wine in your cup? That's enough. I'm not pouring that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can say you do whatever you want to do, but I'm telling you what works for me. And then you have enough. If you see you consistently set a boundary for yourself and the person keeps crossing it or showing you that they're not able to meet that boundary, then you remove yourself. Because the boundary is never about telling somebody else what to do. It's telling them how you want to be treated and the rules for how you govern yourself and relationships. And I think sometimes we think, okay, it means it gives me license to tell you what to do. And it's very difficult to understand that. And it's because it's easier to just say, you're drinking, you get drunk, it causes this behavior, stop drinking. No, they're a full functioning adult with their own traumas. And I think that's the other part that I saw too. It's like, I can respect your trauma. I actually have that. I have a similar thing where there's people in my life that have had addiction issues. So it's a trigger for me. But what I had to understand is that's my issue. So I can't expect somebody to walk in, meeting me, coming with this issue and adjust and alter their lives around me. I have to surround myself, find people that I'm in community with that can align with me. And if that person doesn't align with me, then I need to remove myself, not tell them what to do. And I'm telling you, not because I think I'm perfect, but because I've done that to people in my life and it goes wrong. And I had to like look into myself and say, hey, why am I getting this reaction from them? I'm trying to tell them something that's good for them. No, because I can't, if somebody has an issue, it's not for me to fix or solve. I'm not Jesus. I'm not Jesus. I'm not a therapist. I'm not an alcohol counselor. And even if I was, you can't do it with the people that you love. And I think that's the other part, right? Like, you can't do it with the people that you love, because even if you have those credentials, you can't do that with the people that you love, because it doesn't work. The waters are muddied. They're not a client of yours. So I just think, you know, again, not removing the issues that Kiki has. She has them. We see them. I'm talking about what Brandon specifically kind of just needs to work on and really create the boundary that he wants to have versus trying to shape somebody into what he wants them to be.
I'm gonna say,
go for it, Jay. Go for it, Jay.
I'm gonna say respect everything Sean said, because that's on Brandon's side. I'm gonna jump back on Kiki on this one and stuff like that. I'm with Sean on the same thing. I have dealt with a person in my life who is belligerent drunk, you know what I'm saying? Nasty drunk, that type of thing. I can get triggered too, but I do not police people in their alcohol. However, I will say this much. If you are using it as a clutch to keep you afloat during your life, your day, whatever you got going on, that's not when you're supposed to be doing it, period. Alcohol and certain other substances are downers. Those are not to be sitting here doing when you're already in a depressed state or anything like that. It does not help you at all. It ruins your liver, amongst other things. I can probably tolerate an alcohol that just loves the taste of alcohol over you doing it just because you're trying to cope through the day of depression. You need grief therapy. That's what you need. You need to find some other vices that are more healthier for you than using this as a remembrance of your best friend. Losing a parent is not easy, especially if you were really close to them. I get that. But turning to the bottle just to go through the day, and that's how she's describing it, to get through her day, to get through these processes and all this stuff. But the thing is with Kiki, I'm not really even sure what the real issue is, because every time she says it, we get a different reason on why she's drinking. So to me, that's an even bigger problem. And I'm saying it out of love. I'm not trying to say it as harsh as Brandon. I have no ties to this lady, but seriously, sis, you need to find something else outside of the bottle to deal with any of your day-to-day issues that you got going on. That is the worst place. It'll make you fun in the life of the party for a moment, but everybody gets tired of that after a while. Everybody don't want to keep picking you up off the floor, cleaning up your messes, explaining this, that, and the third. They don't want to have the disclaimers every time you come around. Everybody gets tired of it, and you're going to continue to isolate yourself more and more, and the only friend is going to be the bottle, and that's not really what you want. So I do suggest that she strongly seeks some type of some substance guidance outside of this show. Like seriously, outside of what Brandon has to say or whatever and stuff like that, like the doctor's advice, just go find somebody to talk to. Really.
Like Nola Darling came up, her sticker, it said the bigger red flag. Why did he drink with her? What are the panelists' thoughts on him turning around later and drinking with her?
Because he's not been given a solution how to solve the issue. That's the problem, right? Because he sees her drinking, and now he's going to the opposite side. This is what happens when people don't have the tools, and it's very difficult because what you're asking someone to do is to do something that they don't necessarily have the resource or the tools for, how to handle a situation. So now he's now going to join her in the hopes that she will change this particular behavior. And this is very difficult. This is why I said I can't do it. If you're somebody that's belligerent drinking, I don't even like people that drink at all. I can't even lie to you, but I don't mind you having 1 or 2 drinks. But if you're somebody that gets drunk, I don't want to deal with you. You know what I mean? Because me personally, I don't want to see that. You know what I'm saying? Because irrespective of what anybody says, so the moment you are in a relationship, you are responsible for her. So we can say about you can't say anything, you can't do anything, but you're actually responsible for her. If anything happens to her, you are responsible. So I can't actually leave you and say do whatever you want to do, because it doesn't work like that. Once I'm in a relationship, I'm responsible for you. If you get drunk and fall down the stairs and break a leg or whatever, and everyone's going to ask you, where were you, coach? Well, you're not out with her. No, I'll let you do whatever you want to do now. That doesn't work in this situation. But the reality of the situation, and that's why I was saying that what Sean was saying was actually correct. You have to learn that language in order to be able to communicate this situation to her, to make her understand that this behavior does hurt you and it's difficult for you to be around this particular behavior for you. That's communicating with 100%. Communicating is essentially what boundaries actually is. It's not about controlling her, and it's not about telling her what to do. So again, I'm joining on that bridge with you, Sean, on that point. But I think this is where it's difficult for him because I don't think he has the skills, and I think this. To negotiate a relationship with somebody who's depending on some kind of substance, honestly, requires you to go and do some training and some skills. And I'm not even gonna, shame anybody for it, because don't put me in that situation because I'm gonna leave your ass. But the reality is, for a lot of people, you're gonna have to do some training, because I think he joined her because he felt like maybe if I join her, this is me not nitpicking anymore. So like when I say to people, like sometimes we go to the other extreme. Because we go from one side to the other side. Like he's like, okay, well, I'll just join you then. And maybe that will, you will stop thinking I'm nitpicking on you, but it's not going to get the result that he wants. She's going to still drink. And this is why I'm saying to you that at this particular point, in this situation, for me personally, I'm saying, listen, if I'm Brandon's boy, I'm telling him, leave that girl where she is. You are not Jesus and you are not an angel. Leave her where she is. Because she is going to drag you down and you are going to lose yourself. Because now you do not have, most of us, even whether you're secure attachment or not, you do not have the skills for this thing we're talking about, without you becoming a codependent person where you are now getting sucked in, where you're having to now try and navigate them every single time when they're in this state. Kiki needs to want this for herself. She needs to want that. She wants to change this thing. And you're not married, so you are actually not tied. So this goes back to Sean's point. You are not tied, okay? So your ass can leave her. Now, this is not your wife. This ain't your husband. You know what I'm saying to you? So you don't have that weight on you. if I'm Brandon, I'm leaving it alone, because you can't actually do anything about this person. You can't force them to do anything. You know, and that person has to want to change his behavior. So if I'm Brandon, I'm telling Brandon, walk away. Yeah, I know he's invested 4 years. He should still walk away, because he saw the signs, and that's where he's going to be accountable. She didn't just start drinking today. She's been drinking for a little while, my brother. Okay, all right. You've known her for 4 years. If you only saw her drinking now, it means you didn't know her very well. Okay, she's been drinking a lot, doing a lot of things. You need to be in that space where you leave that woman alone and let her heal. And because actually what you don't realize is the longer he stays, actually the worse she could actually get, because sometimes you are in the way of that person hitting rock bottom so they can actually face their own problems. And the more you stand there trying to cushion that fall, the more that you are actually aiding and abetting and causing her to actually not look at herself. And sometimes people need to hit the rock bottom to see it for themselves. Some people will hit rock bottom and they will still go further down. It just is what it is. But for you, I would say for Brandon, I agree what Sean is saying. He needs to focus on his boundaries, not necessarily telling her what to do, but he needs to move out. He's not her husband. So yeah, that was what I would say.
I'll say how much spot on you are. Sorry, Sean, I didn't cut you off. How spot on you are about a lot of this stuff. And it's kind of crazy because you don't even drink at all and stuff to even know. But one thing about rehab for sure is they don't even, if you take a person to rehab, they won't take them in. That person has to want to go, because it has to be, they want to fix themselves. And that's the number one thing. You cannot make a person do what they don't want to do, especially an addict. You can beg, you can plead, you can wait till your face turn blue or whatever and stuff like that, but you can't. I'm gonna address somebody in the chat without saying any names, but to sit there and say that we're calling her, or a coach is calling her alcoholic, that was never said on this platform. She has tendencies that are leading there. She's clearly addicted to the drink. There is a problem there that needs to be solved. Brandon has a bad way of trying to solve this problem. And like you said, Coach, he doesn't have the tools. That's why I suggested maybe he needs to go to sobriety classes himself, because you pick up little things from there. If you want to sit there and have like a closeness to her, you go to the class with her. But children do this a lot with their parents that are substance abuse. You're going to get one or two reactions. They're going to either stay far clear of it, or they're going to pick up the habit to bring a closeness to it. And a lot of times, this is what happened with Bobby Brown and Whitney Houston. I know how half of y'all don't want to believe that Bobby Brown was not on that Whitney was on. He was drinking, and it was his trying to get close to Whitney that brought him to the other part. But guess what? He ended up with an addiction too. So that's like the worst way to sit there and do that. You can become that, what you're trying to stop them from becoming in the process. So what you need to do is learn tools and speech on how to deal with these type of people if you want to be somebody's savior. Now, this does not mean you're going to save them. They still have to want to save themselves at the end of the day. And if Kiki don't see it in herself, despite the doctor telling her, Brandon saying it in his way, everybody around her that is not enabling her, us on this panel saying it, if she don't see it for herself, he needs to leave, and anybody else that doesn't want that same path outcome for themselves need to just leave her alone and go about their business until she realizes she has pushed everybody away and she needs help. She needs help. We're not saying that she's an addict. I mean, well, she is. I'm sorry. I'm saying she's an addict. I am saying she's an addict, but I'm not going to say she's an alcoholic. She could be though, because alcoholics tend to drink everything across the board. You know what I'm saying? But that's neither here nor there. She got a problem. She is. She went going from one drink to another. She done went from wine. And then here, I'm going to tell y'all the truth. When you sitting there trying to tell me I ain't having a drink, I'm just drinking some wine, baby. Wine is still alcohol. Fermented grapes is still alcohol, darling. Okay. It still has a content to it. I don't care if you sitting here drinking a daggone liqueur. It still has a content to it. Beer has a content to it. If it ain't 0% juice, water, soda, it's alcohol. Okay. But that's neither here or there. She was just drinking wine that day. Let her have it.
Yeah, I guess I am very cautious on what I say, and everybody can, pick and choose the words they use. Um, only because my intimate, deep knowledge of it. So I hesitate to say that she's fully blown an alcoholic. Because there's so many levels. Sometimes people are abusing alcohol situationally. It doesn't make them an alcoholic, right? It doesn't also mean that there's not an issue with what they're doing. So, and it doesn't mean that the behavior needs to be corrected, because, alcohol is one of the most damaging legal substances that we can take in our bodies. It destroys our bodies from the inside out. So, there's several harmful aspects of it. So, again, I'm not excusing it. I'm just saying there's nuance. I think there's nuance to the conversation, and that, we should operate with an idea of when we see someone behaving in a particular way, what that looks like, what it means, what drives it, and then next steps, how do we govern ourselves accordingly? I think also Brandon has already very clearly, as most of the other men have said, that they don't see a future in this relationship when they played the game. So he's also not being honest, because that's what causes a lot of the strife. It's like, I wanna be with you, but I don't really want to be with you. But now I want you to change, because I want you to change to be with you. Because now you're going to be constantly fighting that person, constantly shining a light on the things they're doing, because you have internal conflict. And a lot of these guys, if we want to be leaders, you need to lead with being honest. Right? Honest about where you stand, honest about what you see the future of the relationship is, because there would be no need to be having this argument if you would say, hey, listen, I only can see friendship, or I don't see a relationship future for us. After playing the game and thinking about our time here together up to this point, it's not going to work. But you're going to be in it, but not be in it, but try to tell her what to do, but want things to work, but really you don't want to be in it. So it's just kind of like a mass bowl of confusion. Again, Kiki needs to be honest. Kiki needs to be honest about all the things that she's got going on. She needs to own what's driving her drinking the way, to the extent that she is drinking. She needs to own why she can't be honest with Brandon about whatever her home situation is and whomever she's living with, and the overlap that exists in their relationship. So I just think it's just it's so complex and so layered.
I see we got somebody new in the chat, so I'm gonna just employ them to go back and watch the last couple of weeks' reviews, all right, on how we have talked about Brandon and his controlling behavior.
Maybe like that. Elsa, do you want to say anything? No?
Let's call a spade a spade. Kiki's relationship and encounters with alcohol on this show is concerning to everyone watching, to the people who are even in the house. It is concerning. Even if you don't want to call it whatever it is, how you wish to frame it in your dictionary, the relationship she has, we have seen her fall over. We've seen her asleep on the couch. We've seen her asleep on her bed, fully clothed. Her relationship, when she has an encounter that we have seen and been presented with, is not a good one. The therapist just came to her and said, this is what you're doing. This is what considered a binge. This is what you're binging. She didn't say it, but she basically wants Kiki to calculate in her own head, you are binging. So the thing is, whatever the reason for it, Kiki got to figure it out. Whatever the reason for it, Brandon got to stay out of it, because this is her relationship and whatever is going on with her, and she needs to help and overcome it. Brandon may need to stay out of it. So my thing is, Brandon, you got your own relationships with how you view people, who are drinking. So he got his own issues to deal with. Yes, we have said he's controlling. He's trying to do a little too much. But again, Kiki doing a little too much with the drinking right now, and she's doing too little to kind of stop it. And the way he's trying to, be nice to her by drinking too, one of us has got to be, stone cold sober. I'm sorry. One of us has got to be in this house full of strangers, and we're strange with each other. It's been 4 years. You cannot tell me Kiki has not drunk dialed him a few times. It's been 4 years. So this cannot be a complete surprise to him. But however you wish to frame it, in the chat, in the comments, what we have seen, it is concerning, and we are concerned for her. Or we could just be mute and let her just, how can I say it, paddle down the freeway with the alcohol she wishes to consume.
I told y'all I was going to stress y'all out just a little. I didn't even get to the fat phobia, and I'm going to leave that alone. I'm not going to wear y'all out about the fat phobia.
I missed that.
It's also causing some heat to come Kiki's way, because it's a lot of people coming at her sideways. Again, I don't think
she's a big girl?
Yes. She's
on the show or outside the show, you mean?
No, just in terms of how our opinions are shaped in general, just everybody, everywhere.
Oh, I don't have a problem. It's just drinking, period. I don't care if she was big, small, whatever it is, but.
Oh no, I'm not saying you specifically.
No, I know you're not saying me. I never
general
thought about it. Because to me, she's a really beautiful girl. Like, she's a really beautiful lady. Like, that's why I always said every week, I don't think she needs the alcohol.
Well, nobody does. I think that the certain things, they exist below our conscious level, right? So when we see something, we react. It engenders a reaction. And just like how we as Black people, we get microaggressions from white people and even from our own people. So some of the stuff is just in there. It's in there. It's baked in there. And I do think that part of that, she's getting it because she shows up and she's a big woman. So she's getting a little bit extra more vim on it, on top of the issues that it do exist. I'm not saying there's no issues. So anybody that thinks I'm excusing it, I just think sometimes we have to like take a step back, and before we go full tilt, and again, not for anybody specifically, just generally, like before we go full tilt on anybody, sometimes what's informing my opinions? Because our opinions are informed by experiences, by biases, by stereotypes. So I just say, like, I think there's some of that in there. Doesn't mean the person, she could be wrong, but I could also be biased, because when I saw her, I'm like, oh shoot, so you just have to check yourself sometimes and say, hey, what's informing my opinions? That's just my perspective on it.
Who are you talking about, Sean? Because I'm confused. So who are you aiming at? I know you're not saying that as a panel, but who are you talking to? Because I'm sort of that I understand where you're coming from. Because I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason I'm wondering why you're bringing it up, because again, I don't know who you're addressing, so that I can understand maybe and have an image of where that comes from. Because at this point, I don't know what her size has to do anything. If she's drinking, she's drinking. If she, because that's been the only beef that people had. No one said that she's not nice or anything like that. All they've ever had an issue with is her drinking aspect and how people have felt like she dealt with the cooking aspect. So who are you addressing? So we don't understand what
she's been called lazy. She's been called lazy.
That had nothing to do with the fact, though.
Yeah, that's not to do that.
That is a microaggression, guys. It's not overt. It's not you have to call somebody fat to be fat phobic. That's not what it is. It's a microaggression. It is a way we look at somebody and we over focus and criticize them. Calling her, some people have called her fat. They've called her, whether directly or indirectly. It's not a specific person. It's just people in general. The comments, even in this comments today, somebody says she's morbidly obese. We need to deal with that. Those things inform our opinion. It's hard to have an opinion about somebody and about the way they exist and then not realize, hey, some of the things that the way I'm criticizing and calling them out are informed by some of the things that I don't like about them.
the things I'm seeing, her behavior is what I'm calling out. It has nothing to do with anything of looks. And this panel specifically generally is not about to talk about people's looks and all that stuff. You already know that's what we do up here. I'm not saying anything about this chat. The chat gonna do what the chat gonna do or whatever, but it's almost given like projection. Like, because I've always told y'all from jump how beautiful is she, all that she is and stuff like that. I think she's a very beautiful, attractive lady. However, she's lazy because she is lazy. Has nothing to do with her weight and none of that, in my opinion. She don't want to get up and help and do anything like that. For whatever reason, she don't want to get up and do anything. At the end of the day, you're still at work, ma'am. This is not a vacation. You're up on this work. And I'm not saying TV work is easy. It is long hours, stressful days, and they be trying not to feed you. So I get part of it. I'll be tired too. But when you want to sit up there all day long and drink and then hang out by the pool and do all this stuff when it's your day to cook for everybody in the house, but when everybody else cook, you don't have a problem, you're lazy. When it's time to get up and clean up after on your turn and stuff like that, when everybody else has to do what they for their turn, you're lazy. I don't care how big or small you are. Your work habits are poor. That's a whole different thing. So like when you're saying the people out there in the chat, the people in the chat gonna chat. That's their bias. And I get you what you're saying to them. Their bias is gonna play a thing. But we up here ain't talking about her weight. Now, if I want to talk about her weight, the confusion is, and coming back from our RBS stuff, is you think that a person is big that they can handle more alcohol. No, they can't. That's where the only thing I would say about her weight is and stuff. Don't think because she is a big girl that she can handle more alcohol, or she needs to think that she can handle more alcohol. That's not how tolerance works. So outside of that, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's and this is me coming from a kind of a privileged place. Like, I wasn't trying to make a bold statement, but just talk about something that I saw as a topic, right? I do think it's something, and from the beginning, that it's something that happens in life. It is. And every time we do something, and every time we're not going to instantly connect it with, oh, shoot, that's this. So, I don't think anybody is overtly being rude or mean to her. I think that there is just some nuance to some of the breakdown on who she is and being quick to call her specific things. I think that's getting informed a little bit about her size.
Oh, that's what I was asking. I just wanted to. I knew you weren't talking about the panel, but I was trying to see where it was coming from, because it felt left field, and I was like, wait, where's this coming from? You know what I mean? Because I think we're just talking about her particular behaviors and stuff like that. And look, I know sometimes, yes, you're right. There are going to be some comments that are going to be attached to, of course, some of these biases, right? And it happens. It's going to happen, right? Like Alicia is now being called rude. You only need one time before someone labels you something. Like sometimes it's not sometimes for me personally, it's not a bias. Sometimes the point of the matter is you only need one action for someone to see you once and they label you that. And that's just the fickleness of human beings as general as we are sometimes, right? We are judgmental at points, and sometimes you can't change that for certain people. You know what I mean? And I think the way that the show, specifically, I'm saying that the show showed this particular situation with the drinking aspect, right? There was a real situation that happened. This is not because she was sleeping in. It wasn't because she was sleeping in late or anything like that. It's because you allow people who you were supposed to be doing a thing for, you allow them to work for you. And then you came in and acted like it was normal. It's like people are looking at it going, yeah, now we're gonna look at you as being lazy because you dodged what you were supposed to do. You were supposed to actually be helping Brandon, and you didn't choose to do it. And then you said you were sick, but then as I said, you started walking on the lawn. So people are gonna look at you as being lazy, like you're skirting. And I think that'll be a fair assumption that people are going to make without having to think that they actually may be linking her weight and thing. I'm not saying that doesn't happen. I'm not saying that doesn't happen. But the reality situation of what we have seen, right? Now all your colleagues are now calling you out as well in terms of that particular behavior. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just, but I hear what you say. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen. I'm just saying, you know, I think in instance, I can understand why some people might be calling her lazy, because when they see that you're skirting jobs and you're skirting it for other people to do, that's where you are going to get people calling you lazy, and you're trying to dodge trying to help in that situation, right? That's where someone will see it that particular way as well. So I you know, I said it's another way to look at the glass. I'm not saying that there's that you're always wrong. I'm just saying it's another way to look at the glass, and I hear what you're saying. It's a good point to make, and for us to consider our biases as well. So any other thoughts? That private chat's crazy.
No, you know, I missed you guys, so you know I had to. It's been a while, so you know I had to just you know, add my little flavor, like I love to do, you know, push the envelope a little bit, you know,
stir up a little,
folks, just a smidge, you know.
Well, we appreciate you not coming here and being lazy on the panel.
Since lazy is I've gained 15 pounds in the last 6 months.
That's that good weight, sir.
We don't talk about looks here. We ain't gonna talk about looks.
Since lazy seems to be a trigger word and a cuss word to some folks, you know,
it's just like aggressive and black women, right? You know, like it's one of those things you just have to. It doesn't mean you're not. It just means be extra careful before you go there. You know, that's my takeaway. Anybody can say whatever they want to say. I'm not Brandon. I'm not trying to police nobody. I'm just adding a different perspective.
Well, I hope y'all work on your telepathy quickly, because child, y'all can't say nothing in these days anymore.
You know, but I do think these conversations are good because it teaches us better communication with each other. You know what I mean? Because we do trigger each other, you know, and sometimes we got to understand why I make you so mad. Just the same way we want to lean into empathy and understand why Brandon gets so triggered by alcohol, right? And understand where that comes from. We should understand why Kiki does what she does, why some of her behaviors are the way they are, and to be careful in how we address it, you know, for the Kikis in our world, just like for the Brandons in our world. I think we just need to be more careful about how we talk to each other, because we do, and sometimes are, way too flippant, and then we hurt each other, but we get so used to it that we accept it, but it still resonates in us, and we still are harmed. I can think of hurtful things that people said to me 20 years ago. So you can't tell me the words that we say to each other aren't important, and the way that we talk about each other, it is important. So I think that we should, you know, just be a little more cautious in the way that we talk about each other, because it does hurt people, you know, including our own selves. So,
well, in all fairness to those that's saying that Carla was called lazy in math, Sean was on Team Carla, so therefore he wasn't the one calling her lazy.
I definitely called her lazy. That's what I did. She definitely wasn't overweight. But you know, I've missed you too, Sean. So you know, I'm gonna tussle with you a little bit, because then if you go and say that, I'm gonna need you to be a little bit more lighter with my boy Brandon. I'm gonna need you not to call him controlling, because that's a label. I'm gonna need you to start understanding where he came from and say this behavior can look like it's controlling, but I understand where you're coming from because of the traumas that you got. I need you to extend that grace, because everybody can get hurt and everybody can feel some type of pain in this situation. You know what I'm saying to you? Maybe we have a bias here also about the way we're treating men at this particular point in time. I don't know. Is that a filter? Is that a lens? You know, I've missed you. So
don't both.
I'm just saying.
Because I didn't call, if I would have called him misogynistic, yes, his behavior is controlling because he wants to control what she does. I didn't give him an adjective that is a harmful word, you know. Now, if I would have said
her behavior is not lazy,
I would have been right there with you and said, you know what? Because I thought misogynistic, but I said, let me not even go there. Let me just talk about his actions. But I get what you're doing.
But her actions dictated lazy.
But you hinted it, brother, because you said that's how men end up controlling women. So you didn't say he's misogynistic, but you supplanted. It was clever evidence that you supplanted on it. It was, in a court of law, that was very clever. You know what I mean? I would have to say, Your Honor, in that space, because you was clever with the way that you pushed it onto him. But controlling would be a label that could be looked at as very painful. If he was listening right now and he was to say, look, I don't think I'm controlling, but you said he is controlling, why couldn't you say that maybe this will come off as controlling, Brandon? Why can't you be as caring and loving and appreciative and understanding where he's coming from without now labeling him as that he is that thing?
Kojo, cut it out.
Well, controlling is a verb where lazy is an adjective, which is a descriptive word for a behavior or action. Okay, you like your dictionary. You like your dictionary.
You know I do.
Controlling is a verb. It is an action word.
All right, let's move on to the next one. We've missed each other clearly, so that's why we bantering each other like this. Let's talk about obviously another one. I'm sure we'll probably more agree on this one. Actually, well, I don't know because I think there's definitely one side we need to cuss out. But let's talk about Tatiana and Courvoisier. What's going on with these two? With Tatiana and Courvoisier, I want to know your thoughts on this. What's going on with these two? Because she called him out, said that he's a vegan slutty liar. Okay, I added those words in, sorry. But she called him a vegan liar. Okay, all right. Again, I added those words, but she called him a liar and said he doesn't need to lie about the vegan stuff. She doesn't really want it. And he was like, denying it, but he was lying about the vegan stuff. But, maybe he was ashamed. We have to really understand that people have got addictions here. He's addicted to the meat, pause. And unfortunately, he could not give it up. So he ended up, eating some baking and some sausages and, again, pause, and stuff like that behind her back as well. Talk to me. What's going on with Tatiana and Courvoisier, man? I want to know, man. How y'all seen it? You know what I mean?
Be careful. You can be labeling this man addicted to meat. Could be good.
Hey, listen.
We love you, Sean. You started this.
Y'all engaging in microaggressions now.
You started this, Sean.
Y'all are engaging in microaggressions, and this is getting passive aggressive. So
at the place of work. At the place of work. Go to HR. Call Kojo. Go to HR. Hey, listen, first of all, don't offer me no bold-faced lie. Don't offer me no bold-faced lie, okay? You are rocking up to the girl and offer her a lie that you can't keep, a promise you can't keep, sir. Sir. And it's even worse because, like she said, my exes weren't vegan. She's not pressed about the fact that you eat Paul's meat, okay? Do what you do, bruh. But you sat here and volunteered a lie to her and then running around the house trying to sneak it to the point you sweating because you got meat sweats. Like, what is happening right now? Just told her that I couldn't hold out on the fast. Child, I'll tell you now, I love me some Andre 3000. Andre 3000 eats raw and vegan lifestyle. I could never do it. We may never be together just because of that reason, because I'm not about to sneak and eat my meat. I'm going to cook your salad however you want it, and I'm gonna put me some meat on mine. Like, what are we doing? like I'm gonna eat. Like, we're grown. Only God, you can only get in trouble with God. That is what's crazy, and that's what's very insulting. And I feel her in this moment. Like, don't insult my intelligence and don't play on my top. Leave me with my choices to make the decisions that I need to make for myself. So don't lie to me. And like she said, what other lies? If you're lying about this little petty thing, what else are you hiding? Now you can't be trusted. And so why would I want to start a relationship with anybody that I cannot trust off the rip? And we already know that he's holding on to more than just, he liked to sneak a sandwich from Jay from time to time. And Jay, why are you making another man a sandwich? I got questions on that part too, but that's neither here nor there. On top of it, why are you snitching on this man's sandwich that you made him? Again, that's neither here nor there. Okay. Sir, you should not be eating a sandwich that you agreed for this time being, at least while y'all was in the house, you were not going to eat. So yeah, we got some issues, especially with him. Child, run, girl, run. Tatiana, run. Okay, please.
The avocado toast wasn't hitting. It just wasn't, it wasn't. Yeah, I figured, and I will say this, as gently as I can. He ate that sandwich. He does not give me a brush after every meal. She done smelt it on his breath. I mean, come on. I mean, it was bacon, chicken, and some other meat group. It was all over him. He ate it real quick in the kitchen and think, oh, I got away scot-free. Why are you hiding what you want to eat? Just eat. If you have fallen off and you cannot be a part of this, then say you cannot be, a part of this vegan lifestyle. It's not something you just jump in, but he wants to just people please her so that she can just, like him more and believe the foolishness that he's going to tell her later on. He just wants to please her for her to be on his side. And that's not the way to go. Jay making a sandwich, it seemed like she was making everybody a sandwich. It seemed like Jay on the lunch crew, making a lunch for everybody. And he just like, can I have that with all these meat groups? And she was like, here you go. But yeah, Jay did snitch on him. She did tell. And he could have told on himself, right away. Right away, he could have told on himself. And they totally knew what was happening.
Yeah, I was trying to think, do I have any unpopular opinions in reference to these two? I don't know that I do. I don't know about that sandwich, because I don't know that I would want a sandwich with bacon grease on it, but that's just me. I like bacon grease maybe cooked into something, maybe in a green, but on a sandwich, that just seems like a lot of grease to me. So I might not enjoy that, but I'd be interested to try a little bit. So I think Clay is focused on all the wrong things. And I think that is a distraction to focus on the truth. And he's running from the truth. And the truth is that he got a newborn sitting up at home that he don't understand how she wound up pregnant, with his ex. And that's the stuff he needs to be more focused on. But he's focused on being a fake vegan, trying to tell her that he loves her when that's a lie, instead of just being honest to himself. And I just think Clay got a lot of stuff going on, a lot of immaturity. It's like, bro, just like, why are you being performative? She never asked you to. Why are you trying? The whole exercise they did that time, I don't remember if it was the body. No, it was the when they did that Kama Sutra exercise, and he was like doing a little bit too much with the grabbiness. I think he's just a very performative person. And for whatever reason, I don't know what it is. We haven't been told or shown that, but he's hiding something about himself. So he's afraid to really be himself. So instead of that, he creates this character. So he needs to face the truth. I do think that I like Tatiana. I like her a lot, but she also has to work on her communication. And I think she's taking in information. She understands. She started to see Clay, but she's being reactive instead of just saying, hey, listen, I don't feel like you're telling me the truth about what I walked into on. It didn't feel like you were telling him that you loved me. It felt like there was something that you were holding back, right? Stand on business, like get to the bottom of it, because your gut is telling you some things are off. And then, how she just was kind of going in on him, the way she approached it, she cussed him a little bit. I think she could just, and this is just like feedback. Like, I just think she could use her words in a better way to identify what she's feeling versus just going on the attack once she's compiled a lot of information. Then, that's all. I saw that when they were having that little argument at the golf thing. And, that's it.
And not to go against you, Sean, but to be in all fairness, like, she's getting information. She knows that. I don't know how much of that conversation by the pool she heard. You know what I'm saying? We're going to just go after the fact that she heard a little something, but she knows that he wasn't saying, oh, I love you or whatnot. But then you got somebody else telling you what your man is doing. That's the worst feeling to ever have, is somebody else telling you what your man is doing that you don't know about. or whatever. So most cases, a lot of us is not going to react. We're going to be reactive. We're not going to react in the most polite, cordial way. There's a few people that can do that, and power to them or whatever, that can sit on that information and be tactful with it, because that is an art of drawing out more information that I'm still working on myself or whatnot. But it's hard when you sitting on information, especially when you know a person has been lying to you and you want to get to the bottom of it. You're generally going to be reactive in most cases, but I do agree she can work on it. It is an art to it or whatever when you can actually master that. But her reaction needs to just leave him alone.
Oh, I see the chat. Y'all be knowing. So that makes sense, the way the bacon grease was used to butter the sandwich. Okay. I definitely would be more interested.
Oh, you thought she was just slapping bacon grease on?
I don't know. I don't know if she just slapped a little bacon grease in between the mayonnaise. I don't know.
No, she used it to fry the bread, like basically a grilled cheese style.
Oh, okay. I can rock
It
with
is
that.
still a lot,
though.
It's still a lot. It's a heart attack. It's a heart attack waiting to happen.
I don't want to body shame Clay, so I'm gonna be quiet.
Well, we could talk about him being overweight. Why not?
Well, I don't want Kojo to both sides me, so I'm gonna leave it alone.
That's right, Sean.
Oh, you only gonna talk
because
one
my
side.
bias was
That was
starting to
really
creep
correct.
in. My bias was creeping in. See, I was realizing it in real time.
You should let it go though, Sid. He was gonna give himself that.
No, I was checking myself. I was
Don't check yourself. Don't check yourself now. You didn't check yourself when we talk about Kiki. Talk about Clay.
I did check myself.
No, he checked us.
Don't check yourself.
I checked y'all. I checked y'all.
I was waiting for his little pinky toe to that line. I was gonna gotcha.
I know Kojo just wanted me to. He's like, go ahead, do it.
But nah, I think I think Clay's a liar. I know we shouldn't be giving the scriptures and adjectives, but he's a liar. He shouldn't be lying. You told two lies. You're a liar. But no, let me stop joking that. But I think telling that lie that he has and he's got another one loaded is very dangerous. You know what I mean? And I'm not impressed. And I get it. Listen, having a kid, it's not going to be easy to tell her because again, you don't want to lose this girl, and I fully get it. But bro, you see, this is what happens when you tell the first lie, right? Now you want to come and tell the truth. It's double whammy because now you've got the lie being caught in, and now you got to come and tell the truth about another one. Now you're looking like a liar, and that's your issue with the situation. And the one that and it's funny because when you're being inauthentic, it tends to happen that way. When you're being inauthentic, you tend to make these kind of mistakes where it's not the big lie that gets you in trouble. It's a small one, and now the big lie, which you should have told at the very beginning, which might have got you forgiven, now looks even more worse. Right? Next, Tatiana's telling her friends that she's doing a narcissist. You know what I mean? And it's all because you decided to go down the path of not actually telling the truth about what was going on. And I think what I saw with Clay is that, the bacon. By the way, that bacon sandwich looked good. I can't lie to you. That sandwich it looked heavenly. You know what I'm saying to you? If I had a gym session after that and that was sitting there waiting for me. Just saying, Cinco, watch out for your girl. You know what I'm saying too? Because hey, me and her would have been talking about the great food that we're eating. But I felt like there was no need to lie. There was no reason for him to lie about the food. But I think this is where you're going, where you're going, Sean, as well, is about what's behind that? What is behind the people pleasing chameleon behavior? Are you trying to be manipulative? Or are you generally afraid as to why you couldn't say this because you were afraid of that you would lose this person? That's why you're doing it, right? And that's the issue with behavior like this, that it now gets looked at as being manipulative, right? And especially as you're a man, let me talk about the biases that exist for the man in 2025, which always is this. If you go and do this behavior, more than likely they're going to call you a manipulator. They are not going to ask questions about your trauma. They don't give a heck about your trauma. You're a man. They don't care. Okay. So they are not going to ask that question because unfortunately, like Muhammad Ali said, it only takes one snake for you to say that all snakes are bad. You know what I'm saying? It only takes one bad man for them to say that all men are bad. So, you doing this particular behavior, you're not going to get the grace. Right. And to be fair, I'm not gonna give you the grace either. So I think he just needs to come clean. I think at this point, what's going to save him, but may not save him at all, is actually to come clean himself now. Quicker the better. We've been saying that from the very beginning. The quicker you come out with this truth, the easier it actually becomes, and actually probably the more likelihood you're going to be forgiven for this action because you're doing it early. But the longer it takes, the more the person feels like they've been duped, and the more they feel like they've been manipulated, and the more they feel like you've been lying and acting on their behalf. Do you know what I'm saying to you? So that's my issue with Clay doing that. You know what I mean? Like he needs to come clean, and he's had ample opportunity to do so and has dodged it on other occasions. And now you're being called out for vegan. Like, come on. You know what I'm saying to you? And you got a bigger secret than that. You're being called out for being a vegan. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want that to be the case for you. So I think honesty is the best policy in this situation. And the quicker you say it, the more easy it will be for you in the long run. Do I feel like the way that Tatiana handled it was the best practice? No, it wasn't the best practice. If we're talking about how we should handle things, same way we talk about Brandon, I think we got to talk about the way she best practiced it. I actually understood. She was frustrated. Like, you're lying about something which is vegan. It's not a big deal. And if you are lying about this, what else are you lying about? I think the way that she said she felt betrayed told me that I think there's something deeper with her. I think there's something deeper that is the reason why she used the word betrayed in this instance. And I think there's a little bit of trauma behind that, which we've all got some, by the way. So this is not me calling her a trauma person, but I think we all got a bit of trauma behind us. But I think there's something deeper as to why she labeled it as betrayal. And the way her response was, she could have still called him out. But when she said, what did she say to him? Your fake ass, whatever, F this, F that, whatever. And I was like, okay, all right. So this might be a little bit deeper for you. And there might be some other issues that are playing a role in your past that are now you are fearful of it being presented once more again when you're seeing how he's behaving. So I do understand where she's coming from in terms of being angry, hurt, upset. She's allowed to feel those things. It's the expression of the way she dealt with it, which I felt like, okay, maybe there's some maybe there's something deeper there for her that she might need to work through, which we haven't seen as much because they've been kind of cool. Yeah.
I mean, this is gonna be my bias speaking, Sean. But this is the reason why I'd be like, y'all just tell me the truth. Don't insult my intelligence or whatever and stuff. I'm not God. I can't punish you. All I can do is walk away from you. So if you're that afraid of losing me, guess what? You're going to do it by telling me a lie. And that's because I have dealt with liars. And I'm not talking about relationship wise. I'm talking family member wise in my past. And it's just like, I'm at a space I don't want it no more. So yeah, she's definitely probably still not healed from any of those relationships that she's had, regardless if they were intimate relationships or just with family or friends or whatever, something like that. Somebody has crossed her in a way that she doesn't want to deal with another person lying. On top of that, Clay, this baby is 2 months old. So, and you've been talking to her for 8 months. So yeah, you should have just went on and told her when she asked you, is there anything that you need to tell me? Because what? You should have been like, I'm eating sandwiches that Jay is making with all the meats, and I got a baby that's 2 months, because this is not going to get any better for you, bro. Like, that's wild. It's not even a newborn, like newborn. Like, you just had the baby before you walked on this show. No, the baby has been here for a while, and you knew about this baby possibly before you started talking to this lady. This is wild.
Any other thoughts, Nisu? No? Just want to say again as well, Jay, that, not you, Jay, and I'm panel, but Jay, that sandwich was amazing. And I want to commend her for that. Me and the Haitian Empress have been talking about it, in the chat, the crispy lettuce, or should I say the skirt of it all. It was fantastic to see. I love to see the back bacon that was in there as well. I actually genuinely think that was an amazing sandwich. And if one day she decides to make me one of those sandwiches.
What was all the meats in the sandwich, Kojo?
Huh?
What was all the meats in the sandwich?
Listen, baby, that was what we call a full dressing there, okay? Right? Fully loaded.
Can't even list it. He don't even know all the meats in the sandwich.
Baby said, listen, forget the vegan stuff. That's why I know that she set him up. She knew that brother was trying to be vegan. She said, listen, since you go into sin, I'm going to help you sin correctly. Sometimes when you're sinning, you got to sin all the way. She said, listen, no point doing half-hearted business. go all the way, you
Well,
know.
she made
And
up
then
all
ended
the
up
meats at one time.
she said,
That was the kitchen
That's gonna be
sink
his last
sandwich.
sandwich.
He had pork, veal, chicken, pho.
Pastrami. But you know what the most, and I know Jay watches Jay, you know, from the show because she's in the comments. So what was worse than making that sandwich with bacon grease was the fact that she went and told Tatiana that she made that sandwich with bacon grease for him. She didn't just make him a sandwich, as I've been told it's called, not a sandwich, but a sandwich. She made him the sandwich and then let his girl know that he ate the sandwich. Jay.
Well, I gotta let you know I did something for your dude.
No. But the way she did it, it wasn't just let you know. She was like, ain't he supposed to be a vegan? When you start off like that, you know you being a little
She been a little bit, yeah, she been a little messy.
Hey, listen, a shout out to them for pushing the conversation forward, though.
That's like saying, isn't that supposed to be your man? Like, I literally saw him out with old girl. Like, that's how she said it. She said it like he was actually cheating on Tatiana, and he was with a sexy sandwich.
Was it Cinco that he told about the other secret that he has?
Jared. No, it was Jared.
Jared. Okay.
Yeah, and yes, Felicia, it was her that told on Kiki was outside, but Kiki had no business being outside.
Yeah, no business. He had no business eating that sandwich either. And the way, did you see the way his eyes rolled? That brother
His
was
eyes rolled and he was sweating.
Y'all worried about Kiki being an alcoholic? It's a baconholic.
This man is a meataholic.
The way he did that fixed was like.
He said, "Listen, I need a." That was enjoyment. That's a brother has not given up.
Sean, why was he looking like Pookie?
I'm telling you, that was a proper sandwich.
He was like, "Oh man."
I'm telling you, that was a little. I would say it was dry snitching by Jay, but it really wasn't. It was.
That was wet snitching.
There you go. You can get the drift because of grease.
That was bacon grease snitching.
Very grease.
She was just concerned. She's a concerned friend. I was just trying to make sure he was a vegan because I just made a sandwich and he said he wanted one, and so guess what? He had one too.
But she didn't have to put her foot in it like that.
Yeah, but he might not feel well later, and this may be the cause of it.
It's the fact that she told all the meats was on the sandwich. She was like, it was a chicken, bacon, ham, turkey,
sausage. She said,
"What about this?
I didn't miss anything."
I think Tatiana set up Jay and told her to make the sandwich and report back because she wanted his belly messed up.
I just need proof. I know he lied about something. I need some proof.
I feel it myself.
Get on top of her. She was like, "Put all the grease in this sandwich." Let me know. I want to know he ate this sandwich so he don't come bothering me.
His fingernails are smelling like bacon grease.
So leave no meat on.
He didn't wipe his fingers. He was licking every bit of that bacon grease off of it.
As you should. Like because you know when you do that, that's when you know the food was hitting. It's like, woo. That brother was enjoying, you know what I mean? So shout out to him for enjoying the sandwich.
That's exactly why she smelt it all over him.
That man was eating that sandwich like it was his last meal.
Yeah, and you can't brush your teeth quick enough to get rid of that strong bacon grease as well. That's gonna be on you. You know, if it's not in your mouth, it's pores. But if it's not in your mouth, it's definitely in your beard. It's in your pores. It's in your fingertips. Like, you know what I'm saying? She like it's all over somewhere. You know what I mean? Again, pause. No diddy. But you know.
Oh no, this is him and that expression in there where it belongs.
It's because I mentioned grease and Diddy, and I said, "Oh, gotta know Diddy."
Meat everywhere. I know it was a piece of bacon in the beard.
So exactly, that's what I'm trying to say. So you ain't gonna get away with that. She definitely knew something was up. So that's probably why she was actually more angry about it as well. Because you
gotta go take a whole shower after that sandwich. Like
that's what I'm saying. You were not getting away with that. So
brush your teeth and floss. Don't forget
about it.
But don't forget, all of that stuff gets in your pores.
It does,
especially deli meat, all of that stuff that gets in your pores. You know,
See, I'm going to say,
try.
especially when you are slightly larger too. I know this because I was bigger myself. It actually does sweat out your pores. As a bigger lad, I was a bigger lad. You know what I mean? I'm still a bigger lad right this moment. I'm still trying to lose all that belly around my stuff right now. You know what I'm saying to you? And it collects. You know what I'm saying to you?
He was going to try to lie his way out of that one and say that was from the previous. That was
vegan.
See,
it's vegan
from
meats.
The previous.
He said, "No,
no. Jay just offered him a meal, and he wanted to be polite."
You gonna say he couldn't resist? He want to be rude?
He was being polite. He was being a gentleman. She made a sandwich, and he just, she offered it to him, and he was being polite.
Yeah, no, she didn't offer that sandwich. He asked. He definitely asked. Definitely asked. Smelled all that meat cooking and walked himself right on there and asked.
It's like when someone says they're not a smoker. I don't smoke, I didn't smoke. Brother, it don't matter how much you brush your teeth, bro. We can smell the smoke. It's all up in ya. You know what I'm saying, Choose? So same kind of thing. Okay, cool. Let's get to the next one. Let's talk, obviously, then. Let's talk about, I guess, really quickly, because Cinco and Jay didn't do much on this episode. But, Cinco let us know that he ain't about to be in the doo-doos with the rest of the people them. You understand what I'm saying to you? He is staying clear of the trauma, the drama, and staying clear of the nonsense and the mess. And he let the man them know as well. You guys are the ones that said no. You guys are the ones doing this. He's basically said, listen, I'm not having those issues. Me and old girl, we are tight and we are trying to make it through. I'm not trying to get invested in some of the nonsense and shenanigans you guys are bringing. What's your guys' thoughts on this Cinco and Jay situation? How did you see it? How did you see it, guys?
I just would say to Cinco, just be careful because pride cometh before the fall. So don't claim victory yet. We just haven't seen what your issues are, because anybody coming up on this show has got some issues. We know they got some, maybe some more than others. We just haven't seen yours. So don't be claiming victory and wanting to give advice to everybody. But other than that, I think they're getting along swimmingly, or either they're just doing a good job at keeping their drama in-house, or everybody else has so much drama that we don't get to see what their real drama is.
So he may be saying he getting out of drama. He is in the drama. He may not be contributing to it, but he is certainly sitting around, listening, gathering all the tea that is a part of the drama, and going back to his lady and talking about it. They in everybody's drama, but just between the two of them. They talking about the other couples. He knows where, all the secrets lies. He knows, all the other stuff. And they are talking about it, about other people in the midst of it too. But Jay is getting in the middle of some things, sandwich gate as we have it now with Clay. But I think she might be, they're too comfortable, and she might get into other people's business while he's turning around saying we not involved. I think she may be, creeping along. Because as RJ just said, she mentioned a Kiki outside. She's mentioning different things. She mentioned how many meats are in the sandwich. Jay is kind of throwing out little seeds out there, and it's growing. So, Cinco may have to look twice at his lady to kind of, remind her we ain't getting into other people's business. But we didn't see much of them, and, even less of another couple.
Now, I don't know why Elle said act like pillow talking is being messy, baby. Okay, well, this is between us. Now, as long as it don't leave our pillow, we good. Okay, he not being messy, and he didn't say we is not in this stuff. He said, I am not in y'all mess, to the men's. To the men's, he told them, I am not where y'all brothers at. Y'all brothers need to learn how to communicate, because that's what everybody's problem is up in here. Y'all telling everybody but y'all lady what the problem is. Me, I'm telling my lady what all y'all problem is. See, we communicating. You know what I'm saying? So just don't get that single like that. Don't get that single like that, okay? Now, where, like Sean said, calm down, my brother. Calm down. Everybody's problems is just trumping yours right now. And you and your lady can sit back and cozy up and, take showers together and do all those wonderful things. But your problems will creep up soon. because ma'am had to remind you, you are following her, you're copying her. She is a one and only, so you're a copy of her. She's going to remind you that she is the alpha in this relationship. And again, I said it before, I don't know how much longer he's going to want to be in that position, because he is still a young man and he is still growing. As he matures into his manhood, will Jay be able to step back? Jay has been an independent mother for a while now, and sometimes that's a little bit of a struggle to transition into following a man or trusting a man's lead. That might be the actual issue why she's being so strong right now. She might not just trust a man's lead right now. So, Cinco, are you going to be able to lead your lady at some point? That is the question. You know, and you definitely need to stop hanging around these men, because they ain't gonna lead you nowhere but to destruction, child. All of these, the rest of these men, child. Listen, at this point, y'all follow Cinco, because he's trying to tell y'all need to communicate. Stop communicating with everybody else in this house except for your person, please, because that's what y'all doing. Y'all having sidebar conversations, talk about how y'all lied the night before, and now you telling the truth, and you still lying while you telling the truth. Yeah, nah. But I still got shout out. At least we still got one couple. Oh, child, we can still root for Sean. We can still root for one. It's getting hard, though. Jesus. 1 out of what, 6? I don't know.
Yeah, that's about it, right? I do like that he did, in his own way, like hold the guys accountable, right? Like kind of call them out on some of their. I think that takes a lot of confidence. So I like that he did that. So, you know, in the midst of everything else, as Jay was talking, I did think about that. She mentioned it. You know, I like that he was like, just in like a funny kind of like nice way, but like, hey, y'all over here lying. You know, y'all over here telling half truths. Y'all over here got a lot of drama going on, you know? So they can't live in delusion and try to pretend like they got it all together.
I don't think there's anything more to say about the Cinco and Jay situation. I mean, unless Jay wants to talk about the fact that Jay was making the sounds for another man.
Hey, listen, if she's a house chef, like Sean said, or somebody said that she was on lunch duties, then she was on lunch duties. You know what I'm saying? I can't say too much right now, because I am making a sandwich for another lady's man, but I have made sure that man let his lady know that he's getting fed while at work. Now, I don't want her man.
Now, don't make it sound for me, Jay.
I'm a host chef, you know what I'm saying? So I can't say nothing. But the snitching on top of it, though, was a little troubling. Like, well, I just need to know, I made your man a sandwich the other day, and it had some chicken, bacon, turkey, ham, pastrami, roast beef, smoked.
Some smoked Gouda.
Nothing vegan. Oh, the mayo. The mayo was vegan. I'll put that on there too, so you can have a vegan sandwich.
Kojo, Nola wants you to tell somebody to mind their business. I don't know why, but just say Jay needs to mind their business so she can be happy.
No, because I said that about Alicia, in it, that Alicia needs to mind her business. So she wants me to say the same thing about
I miss talking about my favorite person.
We haven't got to them. You didn't miss it.
I said in my breakdown though. You haven't missed it.
And you're first, because my heart dropped. I was like, damn it.
Y'all gonna really hate me. Jay to mind her business or Cinco?
No, I think just saying about why Cinco. I think why am I not saying Cinco should mind his business, but I said that Alicia should. And the reason why I'm saying that is because when one person opens their mouth to say something and it goes horribly wrong, that's why you should mind your business. Okay, you haven't got the skills for it. Some people can say stuff and it hits and it lands and people are able to accept it. Those people, they're cool. Now, if they do too much, then we will know, you know what I mean? But he's only talking to the boys so far. So as long as he stays there, I don't really mind. If he now starts talking to all the ladies and trying to, you know, like Sean just said, at some point, you're going to look at the person and go, maybe mind your business. You know what I'm saying, Chu? So don't be meddling up in everybody's things. So that's for me personally. It's like there's a contextual thing. So far, she's, you know, we need her just to stay where she is, just mind her business and stay in her relationship, because it's getting a bit rocky right now. You know what I'm saying? Lock in. You know what I'm saying, Chu? Things are rocky right now. It's not the time to branch out. She needs to lock in. You know what I mean? And if Cinco ends up finding that same situation, we'll tell him to lock in too. Right? When your relationship's getting rocky, that's not the time for you to start branching out. We're not here to start expanding businesses. You know what I'm saying? True. Focus on what's at home. Okay, because home right now is rocking. Okay. Let's talk about I think there's Jared and Jared and Charlie. I don't have a picture for them. Apologies, guys. Sorry. But Jared and Charlie, what's your thoughts on this particular couple? Jared and oh my days. Jared and Charlie, what's your thoughts? Because brother out here be lying out here. Lying.
You know, people be lying, but some people like to be lied to. So, have at it, because if she want to be a whole fool out here just to go to the boom boom room, just so he can do whatever, and then want to try to tell us that they didn't do nothing because they seen the camera, yet she has a whole description of how wonderful the night was. Okay. So at this point, I just think they trying to play each other and doing the same thing. They both just trying to get a little something from the other or whatnot. But, if this lady happens to be pregnant again by the end of this because of this, hey, karma is there. All right. It is what it is. All right. Because he got what he wanted. He said he just in it to hit it. And so he got it. Yeah, hopefully he ain't getting nothing else from it. But that's on him. Okay. I ain't got much to say about these two at this point. They kind of deserve each other because I'm about tired of these two. All right. It's just actually making no sense. She want to believe his lies and just go on to the boo boom room with him, have fun. Now, when she washes back, then I don't want to hear nothing from her. Because her gut told her the night before that something was off. And she want to believe his yes all of a sudden. And he want to try to convince us that he was just drunk and saying whatever. Drunk minds speak sober hearts. So you really meant what you said, sir. You really meant what you said. And you don't like that lady. You just trying to hit at this point because she done had this baby on you, so to speak, quote unquote, or whatever, and hit two other ones. So let's just move on.
Yeah. This is just they're the toxic twins. These two. He's creepy as heck, rolling around lying, trying to get some some loving, and I just and just to say it outwardly. So I don't even know. He needs to grow up and be mature, and like some of the other people, if you don't like it, if you don't like something, then move on. And I just hate it for her, and I see how she got into these situations with all these children, is the fact that she's ignoring her voice. She's in her inner voice, that is. And I just think it's, so many times we hear that voice, but we choose to ignore it. And she chose to ignore it and push forward because she could feel the difference when he wrote down his answer during that game. So, unfortunately, I hate this for her, but that's the risk you play in this silly game, But I really hopefully would want him to look back at this and be like, damn, that was like beyond immature, beyond manipulative. Why couldn't I just be straightforward? Because regardless, it's like, why you gotta play this game and like let the world know? Like that, to me, that's the audacity in it. It's like, you not only are you playing a game with her, which in and of itself is, manipulative, but you want to let the whole world know on TV that you're playing her. Yeah, that part for me just kind of made it a little hard for me to watch that, because it's like, damn, bro, you don't even like her. You don't even really like her like that. You have no consideration. You can't even tuck your shame and hide the fact that you are playing a game to just try to get with her. But you want everybody to know about it, not just the fellas, but the whole world that sees this show. Yeah, he got some healing to do.
Okay. If the way he was talking to her to get to the intimacy suites, we knew something was bothering her. She was caught up in her head about something, and he just turned the conversation to, well, whenever you ready, I am. Whenever you want to go, I'm up for it. Tell me when you ready, because I am. It, to me, was like, dude, she has a 1-month-old somewhere in the vicinity that she pumping for. Yet you're talking about, let's go get intimate in intimacy suites. It's kind of like the person saying the ball's in your court, but I'm telling you how to, throw it. So they go, and he was checking that room to see exactly where the cameras were. He was looking all over and clocked the cameras, and he knew exactly what he was looking for. The thing is, they shouldn't have been in that intimacy suites at all. It was just a distraction. It's just a distraction of, well, I don't want you feeling sad, but I want to get to be able to, have you the way I want to have you. Jared is not it. I hope she does see it. And I hope she does, wake up without another kid. Let's just put it out there, without another kid. Because he just was there for action. That's it. Action. The camera was in there. He's there for action. Ready, set, go. I really didn't like it. I really didn't like the push for it. She has, heart eyes. Her discernment, as you said before, her discernment was telling her this is not it. And she refused to listen. This is what's happening. I wish he would have just left it alone and just stay out of the intimacy suites with her. But it seems like she was sad about something, and it could be, for me, I was thinking she was having postpartum, and for me, it's like that was really low down, you pushing the intimacy suites when she could have been having a postpartum moment. But that's just my thought. I don't know for sure. My thought about the whole situation.
Oh, Elsie, you just reminded me of how creepy that man was, because he sat in that confessional and said, I am a gentleman. I'm just going to respect and wait on her terms or whatnot. And then, what was that other thing he did later on? Oh, and then how I look at it, you're basically back in the confessional after y'all went up into the intimacy suite and saying that we didn't do nothing but just hold and all this stuff because the cameras were there. Yet she has a full description of what actually took place. So now you're planning on having more people when you get back home saying that you're free and that me and that old girl never did anything. We just laid. That's what it gave me, is that you about to lie some more when you get back home and be telling the world that you just never slept with her. You never did nothing with her and stuff. We just laid in the room because there was a camera up in there. That's a whole setup. Like, there's been so many couples up in there. You mean to tell me ain't none of them other couples seen the camera up in there? We've been all in the room from the first season. We've been all up in the intimacy suite with the first season and stuff like that. Like, come on, there's cameras all over the place at this place. But them cameras ain't stopped y'all anywhere else. So all of a sudden the camera stopped y'all from doing anything you wanted while y'all was completely alone outside of those cameras? Okay, sure. He's such a creep.
I also forgot where I saw it, but I think Charlie addressed it and said that her child was like in a separate house, like not far from where they were. So for whatever that's worth, I just thought it was a little interesting tidbit of information. I still think it's crazy for her to be, I'm judging here still that she's here with a 1 month and exploring a situation with this guy. But nevertheless, the baby was in close proximity with her to where she was.
Are you judging because she's a zebra queen? No, I'm just playing. I'm just playing.
Now, you want me to talk about it because I think that's why you brought it. You want me to talk about that. The fetishization of it all. Because I mentioned that, but that was a few good weeks ago. So I can talk about it if y'all want me to talk about it. And how he put her on a pedestal because she's a preference. And he had to let us all know that she was something other than just black, So There's a lot of layers going on. You know, I'll dive in. I don't have a problem.
I just want to know if it was a phobia, a zebra phobia or not. No, just, a little bias coming out. No, just
So I think the Cinco and Jay, no, I said Cinco and Jay, sorry. Jared and I shouldn't have banner, that's my problem. But Jared and Charlie's situation, you know, I think it's diabolical, right? When you lie to try and get Punani. I just can't. I really can't. I just for me, if you're gonna get Passoir and you're gonna lie about it like this, I just think it's just cold behavior. I'm not really for it. And this is my bias kind of showing, you know what I mean? I think it just as men, if you're going to hunt properly and hunt correctly. You know what I'm saying too? Like if you're going to go after women, hey, I'm not saying you should, but I'm saying if you are, let's be honest about it. You know what I'm saying too? Because that woman there, it looks like she tattooed your name on her. She going to go with whatever the wind will blow. So there ain't no need to lie. You know what I mean? I think that for me is the biggest issue I have with him. He actually generally has told us he's lying. That shows actually just an inherent lack of respect, like of the deepest order. You know what I mean? Because even players who are trying to play, who gonna lie, they're gonna lie in secret. The fact that he's not even lying and telling us, the audience, he's letting you know he has no respect, no regard. He does not care about her. He doesn't care. He doesn't think she's classy. She's of no value. She's of no use. She is what I will call just a vacant space for him. And that's sad. You know what I'm saying? I want to say another word, but I said I don't think it's appropriate. But it's just it's sad that that's how he's treating her. And he may come out and say that's not what he really means. But brother, unless you can clear up that statement that you made on the confessional, that is horrible behavior. Now, that doesn't mean that she's free to lie about the kids, because I'm not really with that either. The fact she lied about the kids, crazy behavior to me, right? Absolutely crazy behavior. The only difference is that I'm saying here is that you can lie about the kids, but now you've told me I can actually do it. I can change. You know what I'm saying? Sure, I can shift, I can move. But you trying to lie so you can get some panties, which means after the deed is done, I can't undo the deed. You know what I'm saying too? Like, that's why I'm making a distinction between the two. I'm not saying that her line is less than what his line. It's just a case of what's going to be at stake at that point in time, you know? So I didn't like that from a male perspective. I don't like that seeing other man them do them things. You get me? What I would say is, you know, I think, you know, that he has to look at himself and ask himself some real questions. Why do you want to be in a space where you're having to lie? You know what I'm saying to you? Like, why do you want to be in that space? That's a real question. Why do you feel like you can't, you know, attain what you want without having to, you know, pull the wool over this woman's eyes? You've been talking to her for almost 4 years. I just don't get it, bro. You know what I mean? You've been talking to her for 4 years. Like, bro, for me personally, it's diabolical behavior. And I don't like it because he admitted it to the audience like that. That just shows a calculation and a coldness about him, you know. But any other thoughts for the Jared and thing? Yes,
I just feel like men like Jared that volunteer lies like this lack self-worth. Like, to be honest with you, to look at that man, it doesn't look like a man that needs to lie or whatever and stuff like that. Yet here you are, volunteering lie for what, cooch? So you can't get cooch anywhere else? It's like, come on, bro. That makes absolutely no sense. So it's like you have no worth in yourself. So you want to make women feel lower than you are by lying to them, manipulating them out of something that you could have probably just said, hey, I just want to smash. Are you cool with that? This lady already got your name tattooed on her. She got a whole bunch of other things that she really needs to be focusing on. So she might just be okay with smashing. But you want to sit and talk about how you're going to move, how you're going to help with the kids or try or whatever and stuff like that, that you didn't say no, all of this stuff. You could have just honestly said, you know what, I did invest a lot of time with you, but finding out that you had more than just one secret child was a little bit much for me. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I don't think I can handle all that, but because we have invested some time, can we still do whatever? If she say no, okay, bro, go on about your business. But to be on national TV and just be kikiing about it and think that it's cool and think that the woman that you actually gonna want, hopefully she never sees this. Hopefully she never gives wind of who you are or whatever and stuff like that, because now you're ruining that whole thing for yourself in the future. And this is a part of the reason why Tatiana is saying the stuff that she's saying, like feeling betrayed and all that stuff like that, because honestly, a lot of us women do have to deal with men like this, that are just lying, like making long-term lies for short-term gains or whatever. And it sucks. You know, it's not a lot of Kojos, it's not a lot of Shans out there that's just going to be kind of real and upfront from the jump or whatever and stuff like that. We have to navigate through all of these Jarretts, all of these, what's the other one name on this show with Tatiana? Clays. All of these type of people, all these Tylers and stuff like that, that just lie unnecessarily. And I'm just saying, as men, when you are a man, you should know that you cannot lie to God. So you should not sit here and put fear into a woman or losing a woman that much that you have to lie to her. Just be honest. If she's not your cup of tea or she don't fancy you, go on about your business. Guess what? You made space for the woman that is. Just do that. But don't just stop the lying, dude. Like it's really crazy. And women, stop lying to yourselves. These men is not going to change for you. Once a liar is pretty much always a liar. It's very seldom. It's kind of like being an addict to any other thing. Unless they want to check themselves into some type of rehab, they're not going to stop. So he has to prove himself to you at some point that he is no longer a liar. That's too much work. That's too much work. Just like save yourself the drama and the heartache and stuff like that. Once he lies to you once, just like if y'all not tied into some stuff, and I mean, not just no little bitty lie. I'm talking about like big lies like these dudes is doing right here. Once they start doing that, just let it go. Once he do unnecessary lies, let it go. Bold-faced lies, let it go.
Yeah, I think he's a case study in the men who say, like, don't realize that there's groups of men that really just don't like women. And I think sometimes when men hear that expression, they think sexuality. It's not. It's, do you value her? Do you care about her? Do you have a general concern about her? And he just showed to us, unfortunately, that he doesn't. Because if he's so willing to not just lie about how he really feels about the nature of their relationship, but to push it further and advance the needle and get intimate with her, and then also tell the entire world, yeah, I think you have to unpack that. Like, how can you say you generally like women if you are so willing to just use them for a receptacle for yourself, So, hey, it doesn't make him the worst person in the world, but it makes him a not good person. Yeah, because that's to do that and then want to showcase it for the world. That's problematic.
All right, let's talk about Alicia and Owen now. Let's talk about this last couple there. Let's talk about this last couple here. I want to get your thoughts, Alicia, and I want to get your thoughts on Owen. It sounds like that brother has given up. He looks dejected. He looks broken. He looks defeated. He looks like he has had the end of it. The way he was clutching them dreads, there weren't about to be no dreads on his head after this, because the way he was clutching, he was going to tear his head off. Okay. All right. So, yeah. I want to get your thoughts on this from you guys. What's your thoughts on this, guys? Let me know. How we see Alicia and Owen. This is Sean's favorite couple. He said he wanted to discuss them.
I go first, and Sean wants to finish on them, okay? Because we're gonna be sitting here all day waiting for El Cid and Sean to figure out who's gonna go first. All right. So listen, y'all know how I feel about that lady. And I'm gonna call her that lady like Ty called Brittany, okay? That woman over there. All right. I'm not big on her. I do not care for a lot of her antics and her attitude. However, I will say this much. Sir, Erwin, you ain't born no children, sir. That is not your child to be telling her what she better be doing, that she need to be doing, all of that stuff like that. That is fighting words in some cases, some places. Okay. You don't be telling people what they need to be doing. This is the thing that we say about Brandon when it comes to Kiki and her drinking. Okay. Y'all just don't tell her she do need to stop doing some of this stuff. That's true. But the way he went off and did it, why you piping up? Why you saying the extra when you leave it? Why you like she was doing something to you? She ain't put you in no fight. She do need to mind her business, but there ain't no reason for you to be getting all puffy in the chest to tell her that she need to do it. Now, Alicia, Miss, I need to protect my peace. If people are talking and discussing their relationship in front of you, walk away. Go elsewhere. Get out of their business. Don't sit there through the whole conversation, then follow the person into the house to tell them about their relationship and how they should be talking to the lady they just walked away from when they were talking. Like, what? And then you're going to sit there and try to lie, talk about I was minding my business. No, you weren't, ma'am. You were not minding your business. You were minding theirs. Sometimes you know how to tune people out because you didn't have no problem minding Brittany when she was by the pool and her and Ty was going back and forth. She didn't have no problem sitting over there with somebody else, Tatiana and them relationship. And when everybody was talking over there about their relationship, you didn't follow none of them men. You didn't say nothing to Ty when he was going off on Brittany. You sat right there in the middle of it. So why do you feel like you can get up and go tell Brandon about his situation and all that stuff? She picks and chooses who she wants to pick on and stuff like that. Then want to talk about she protecting her peace. That's how you use your situation, your illness or whatever as your weapon and a lot of things. Those people don't know it, but you want to talk about I just being peaceful and then want to double back, run it back on Brandon, talk about I was just trying to suggest how you should help and stuff like that. No, you wasn't. No, you wasn't. Because if you heard him venting and saying whatever that he needed to say to the other people in the house, you should have went into a whole nother room. Because if your peace was disrupted, why are you staying in it? Why are you staying in the mess? Ain't that the same person you was doing yoga with? That's funny, huh? But yeah, but these two need to stay far, far away from each other. They are like no longer liking. He's not invested anymore. So now he has no tact, no coof, no nothing when he gets to talking to her. He talking to her any kind of way or whatnot. And she need to calm down. She's very dangerous. You were sitting here dancing and doing whatever you want at that daggone Top Golf. And he was eating his food, not paying you no attention. And out of nowhere, you talking about what? I can't dance. I can't do this. And then you told the ladies that he was telling you couldn't smile. When did he say that? I need the camera people to run that back. Because what? You just made up a whole story so you can be a victim to the ladies? That was wild. Irvin, you are now in an unsafe place. You need to stay away from that lady. Stay far, far away from her. Don't tell her what business she need to stay out of. Stay out of her business. Stay out of hers. Stay away from any business that she got going on for the rest of this remainder of this trip.
So I'm kind of seeing behind the curtain a little with Irvin in the fact that he is right away checked out. Because Brandon said his piece about what happened with Alicia. And Irvin didn't even go to his lady and say, well, tell me what happened. Tell me what happened. Let me hear your point of view of what happened. Because Brandon came to me man to man. No, he went straight into what he did with Ty. Her tone, she's bossy. He went straight into believing the other person, didn't even want to hear out his girl, and went straight into, hey, now his tone was good. It was even keel. It was even keel. He didn't get, he didn't get leapy. He didn't get, loud. He didn't take it at an angle. I thought he was going to continue down, but he had to tell her, hey, I am your man in this, and I have to have your back. And you're putting me in situations, meaning Brandon could have come to him in a completely different way. Brandon could have come to him and it could have been a scuffle because he's trying to back his girl. But he ain't trying to back Alicia. He ain't even trying. He's like, okay, I'm going to go talk to her because he is checked out. He think this is over for him. She putting him in situations that he just can't get out of. But the way he's behaving is like automatic. Alicia's in the wrong. He's not listening to her. Again, Alicia, if you're protecting your peace, as Jay said, you should have left. If Kiki and Brandon are talking about their relationship, give them some privacy and give yourself the peace that you say you need. Go, are you looking out for your yoga partner? Because the peace that you profess to want is not the peace that you even have within yourself. That's what we're seeing on camera. At least that's what I'm seeing on camera that's presented. You don't bring peace. You bring a lot of pieces of mess. And just you pick and choose who you're going at. And you went at Brandon. You went at Ty for the food. But you don't go at certain people. You don't go at certain people. So how are you picking and choosing who you disrupt? And I have to say, and this is just me, the disrespectful way that speaking in tongues, I was highly offended. I was like, this is not it. This is not it. This is a pandering on a different level. This is not at all. God ain't in this. This is your make-believe stuff. And I was like, Alicia, you need to stop. I wish the camera, that's a piece the cameras could have edited out and I could have never seen. But that to me told me how the height of disrespect she can get to. But then that's just my opinion. That's just my opinion of speaking in tongues and stuff like that. But Irvin and Alicia need to go home. They just need to go home, leave each other alone, go home. You don't need to be constantly guiding her, telling her what she needs to do. And she don't need to be, her piece don't need to be disruptive. She could go home and cook exactly what she wants to eat, how she wants to eat it. And then she don't have to resort to fake tongue talking on the TV.
I thought I was going to have more of a controversial opinion, but it seems like, I don't. I think, though, and I mentioned this a few weeks back, I think that Erwin has not liked, not that he hasn't liked Alicia, but he's been frustrated with her since he didn't feel like she reciprocated the amount of affection that he wanted. So this has just been a downward spiral of his confirmation bias of how he feels about her. And Alicia is also somebody that's very outspoken, can be problematic, pushes buttons, and these two just trigger each other and bounce off of each other. I think he liked her in the beginning, but when the energy wasn't matched, he now saw the worst in her. And I think like whenever you start off on that foot, it's always a slippery slope. You know what I mean? Like, because if you feel like the person doesn't like you back, isn't giving you the energy that you like, but you're still trying to make it work, but yet you're still, like you want to justify your feelings, or you want to, I think maybe he just wants to justify, why is she treating me this way? So it's about her. And again, it doesn't mean that she's a right person or she's right in all these instances. I don't think it's that, but I think you can see how his perception of her alone drives their interactions. Every time they have a disagreement, or even he interjects himself into something, because from what I got from Brandon sharing with him, he said, hey, bro, I'm just letting you know I had this out with, blah, blah, blah. Alicia just came in here. We just had some words. She came in here telling me what to do, blah, 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 mind her business, so on and so forth. He said, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I got this. I'm going to handle her. You don't have to handle this. It's like, bro, one, again, this kind of what it goes back to what I was saying earlier when we were talking about Brandon. You and her are not even on the same page. So how you think you're going to go in here and handle something that you weren't even in the room? You just got Brandon's side of it. You didn't even go in there to listen. You went in there to check her. And I think every time he gets a moment, he wants to check Alicia. He wants to, kind of look for that, a little bit of that get back, to just put her in her respective place. And I think he's just choosing the wrong person because she's not gonna do. Why is he stressing himself out trying to put somebody in their place that doesn't want to be put in their place, and is a grown adult. And I think he's just never gonna get that from her. And when she did that tongues, I was like, oh, come on, Alicia. It's like, do better. But what I will say is he don't know when to quit. And that's a lesson I've had to learn myself. You have to know when a win is a win. He walked up to her and she did her little thing, her little gaslighting that she does. Oh no, I didn't do nothing. What? Me? Who? What? And then eventually he gave her a couple more words and she was like, you know what? You're right. You're right. I could have minded my business. I didn't need to go there. That's the end of the conversation. Like, that was the end of the conversation. Then he wanted to follow up with and don't do that again. What? What, bro? It's like, who are you talking to? Like, that is like, what did you think you were going to get from that? Like, you want to tell her don't do something again? It's like, that's when I was like, Erwin, you got to do better. Know when you won. You won. She acknowledged it. She gaslit you at first. She tussled with you a little bit. Eventually, she said, you was right. I did get in there. And then she told him, she's like, listen, I don't want to be chastised. Don't start chastising me. And he's still going. Bro, first of all, it wasn't your fight. You weren't there. This wasn't even an argument that involved you. You're coming on the back end. She acknowledged it. Leave her alone. And if you really know that y'all two aren't meshing, she don't like you, why you want to go in here and chastise her and put her in her place? You're wasting your time. And I think he needs to move on. She needs to move on and stop with all of this stuff. She's one of those people that have been to therapy, so they just throw words all around. It's not a safe space. I'm not safe. I'm not this. You're making me feel like this is a hostile environment. Like, she's been to therapy, so she's hitting you all these buzzwords. Just relax. You can talk like a human. You can talk to somebody if that you're annoying me, you're bothering me, I don't like this. Everything doesn't have to be a clinical term, especially when you're not a clinician and then you're not even applying them correctly. So those are my thoughts.
Yeah, I'm not going to be mad at you at that. Definitely hear what you're saying. I do think in this situation, it's very difficult because I think that this is a two-pronged attack, right? Erwin's going to have to learn how to handle someone who doesn't take accountability straight away. You kind of have to play a little bit of a game where you have to build a bit more emotional safety with them so they actually can take accountability in that space. I think there's some best practices that he needs to put into place, which is the entrance points of the conversations. I said this last time about if you go into a conversation already, like you said, Sean, I think this episode he did it as well. He didn't really find out much her perspective and her side before kind of like, making his deduction and his judgment already. Of course, I know he's frustrated. He might be a little bit tapped out. But I understand that, best practice is always what we're trying to get everyone to. And I think the way that he approached it wasn't the best way to get her on side as well. So I definitely hear that as well. I think in that conversation between himself and Alicia, I think Alyssa, I think it obviously confirmed something he already knew. I think it confirmed that he's felt some type of way about Alyssa previously, obviously getting into a situation and dragging him into it. Because he mentioned it again, he doesn't want to keep getting dragged into situations. You know what I mean? Because he has to end. It's going to be him ending up fighting in the end. So I get why he might have felt frustrated. I don't think there's anything wrong with being frustrated, but it is the way that we deal with it and the way that we express it that's always important for me. In terms of trying to unify and bring understanding in that space. And I definitely hear what you're saying. The win was a win. The extra stuff when he stood up just added to the mess, which didn't need to be added. I think he could have left it as it was, but I think in that space, he could have left it as that, but he decided to to say a little bit extra piece before he left, and that's never going to help, right? Because the conversation actually had been done, and it cuts, and then he gets up and he goes, he's about to leave, and then I don't know if she said something, maybe she did, but he then said something too, right? I think the tongues itself that she spoke, passive aggressive. It's passive aggressive. It doesn't need to be done. I shouldn't say it's more deflective, right, rather than passive aggressive. She's deflecting from the situation, and we've seen this a couple of times where she has deflected from the situation, use some kind of tactic to deflect from the original issue, which can be frustrating as well for the other person. But again, there's a way to handle things as well. I believe that with their situation going on, they're just missing each other. I think he doesn't feel safe, and I think she doesn't feel safe. I think he doesn't feel safe, and that's when people don't feel safe, they have different reactions to things, you know. And I think what you're describing, Sean, is goodwill. In a relationship, you need to have goodwill to be able to believe that the person's intentions are not wicked. They may have a different impact, but their intentions are not wicked. And when you don't have goodwill in terms of intentions, this makes it very difficult when you are judging someone's behavior towards you. It can make it seem like the person's purposely trying to hurt you, which means that your reaction is going to be very different too to somebody who's purposely trying to hurt you, right? To somebody accidentally doing this. And that's all to do with goodwill. It's whether you apply goodwill to that person or not. In that space. So yeah, for me personally, I think Alyssa also has her own issues. I think that lack of accountability is frustrating. You know, and actually sometimes people, I saw from my perspective, I know she took accountability, but she took accountability in a way that made it feel like I want to shush you. And sometimes when someone says sorry, they're not really saying sorry, they're trying to shush you. And we saw that with the last episode as well, where she did the exact same thing. And then it ended up in her crying and then trying to hug him. And it's like you're trying to shush the person rather than actually really taking full accountability for what was done. And sometimes taking accountability means also sitting in the discomfort that you're in the wrong. It does not mean you're a wrong person. It just means you have to sit in a discomfort. And sometimes trying to repair the relationship is not for now. Okay. You know, that you have to let it simmer and be okay with a little bit of distance and silence. I spoke about this on Instagram earlier on, that anxious people do this, where they actually can't handle, okay. I'm calling Alicia. Alicia. Some people, anxious people can't handle that silence and that distance. And so they try to close the gap really quickly. So, but you know, shout out to her. She did, you know, after, you know, denying when she know that she did actually meddle on somebody else's thing, she did come out and be a bit more clean. You get what I'm saying to you? So, yeah, there are issues on both sides. It's just a triggering thing, and people need to learn how to handle the other kind of person's triggering. But I think he's signed out, if I'm honest with you. I think the ball that was rolling heavy is the thing with Brandon, and probably even it might be a little bit extra heat on this situation because it was Brandon again. So we don't even know, but yeah, that going to do Pilates, yoga, or whatever she was doing, bend up her back with Brandon, only for Brandon to go and do one, must be annoying. But yeah, yeah, that's my thoughts on Alicia, whatever her name is.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I think, and this is something, and again, sometimes like I talk about these things like, oh, I've got it all mastered, but sometimes it's just things that I've learned and now can see in somebody else because I've done those. I mean, when I tell you, and I've talked about this on this channel, how many times I've had disagreements, you know, with my ex, and she would literally concede, but I still would want to keep going. And then we wound up arguing about something else. It's just masterful. And I think sometimes our ego does that to us because we feel like, oh, I got her now. I got her on the ropes. She's wrong. And I'm just going to keep going. No, you need to stop. When you've won, you've won. That expression is just something, you know, like a win is a win. And I think this is the other part that I got, and I like this. I like their interactions because it teaches us something. Because when people acknowledge something, so often we want people to show up how we want them to show up, or we want them to do it how we would do it. But people show up how they show up. So for him to sit and expect her to do it like Erwin does it, you're already on the wrong page. If she acknowledged it, what are the base levels? And I think sometimes, like, this is why we have to take time, self-assess. Did she say she was wrong? Did she realize that she was doing too much? Yes and yes. What more do I need? I need her to die. I need her to be like, oh, you're so right. Yes, yes, yes. I need, like, people get to how they get to places, how they get there, as long as they got there. You know what I'm saying? And barring she cursed him out or she was rude and disrespectful, I get all that other stuff. But I'm just saying, ultimately, at the core, she acknowledged the wrong that she did. So I think, like, sometimes when we're in dialogue and communication and conflict with, and especially in relationships, we just have to know what a win is. And we have to be able to clock, like, oh, shoot, am I just trying to be right here? Am I just trying to nail this into the thing? Or can I just be fine? You know, like, and it's not like win or lose. I don't mean like that. Like, it's just, you know, like, it's like, I got it. It's there. You know, like, she said it. Like, can I just be satisfied in that moment? Like, why does it have to be an all or nothing? So that's what I think. And shout out to Kiki in the comments, you know. But I think, like, we just need to be realizing sometimes when we're in a moment where we're just trying to win a fight versus hearing what the person is saying. And that's what I saw in their dynamic, like, when that whole thing was playing out.
Definitely hear you on that one. You know, I think that is a communicational issue that needs to definitely work for both of them. You know, and you know, I think in this aspect, when it comes to Alyssa and whatchamacallit, Erwin, I just think to myself, honestly, I think to myself that he, you know, he can take a little bit of a breather. It's just hard because I think you're feeling like she's not taking accountability, and then sometimes you get lost in the battle, you know, and you get lost in the war when you should be focusing on building understanding with one another, not trying to win. And that often comes when you feel like you're being cheated, but you have to kind of maintain that balance, that this is not about winning and scoring points, but this is more about you being able to see that, you know, this is about us getting to a place of understanding, you know, as well. So it's a two-pronged thing. Like, you know, she needs to do a bit more work in terms of being more self-aware. Not everybody's a monster and not everybody's toxic, because that's the first place she's now gone to. Now she's gone to the whole toxic vibe. And actually what you're doing is you're robbing yourself again of the accountability of actually doing the work. It's not toxic. You just need to learn how to be aware of how you're showing up and how your behavior impacts other people, you know? And so that's what it is as well. So yeah, you know what I'm saying to you? Yeah. I see that Kiki is in the chat as well. Shout out to her. Appreciate you. It's good to have you in here. I would send you a link.
Sean's pandering has paid off. Thank you, Sean.
Kiki, do you love me? Listen, y'all gonna put me with somebody every single show, every single season, and I'm just talking my talk. You know,
we don't put you anywhere, Sean. You buy your own ticket.
Listen, y'all go on Travelocity and order the ticket for me. You know, I just am the recipient of it. You know,
not the music.
I happen to lean into empathy. You know,
I hear you. You leaning all right. You leaning all right. You leaning all right.
You linked. You ain't even linked. You planking into.
You deep there, so you deep. You know what I mean? Yeah. Any other thoughts on this situation?
No, I love this conversation. I love how it played out too. You know, how we were all able to just kind of like Yeah, because it's not all or nothing. Like, I don't think it's all
Yeah.
Erwin, you know, it's not all Alicia, you know. I think they're definitely missing each other, you know. I can see that.
For sure. For sure. This thing kind of happens when you kind of get annoyed with a person too soon before you really get to know them or whatever. That's why I be trying not to get people in an annoyed category, because for me it's a very hard place for you to get out of once I'm annoyed by you. And I think that's what's happening with Irvin, is just that he's annoyed by her now. And it could be a little bit of what Sean is saying, is that he didn't get reciprocated some of the energy that he put out with her, or that they probably talked about when they see each other. He didn't get that energy, and now he's feeling some type of way. But yeah, dude, he came, I don't care. I feel like he came in strong in that conversation. And I just looked at myself being in that seat with Alicia, you know, right or wrong, you get to telling me what I need to be doing. Guess what? You're going to get the rebellious side of me, because I'm going to do what the heck I want to do at the end of the day. I am grown or whatever. You know, we have scolded Brandon on how he addressed Kiki and her drinking things for weeks now or whatever. And for the most part, Irvin has been very polite by dismissing himself, you know, stopping the conversation where he sees it not going nowhere. But this time he was just out of control. You can be annoyed, but just be annoyed and walk away. She said, okay. She said, okay, regardless if it was condescending, if you don't believe her or anything like that, she said, okay, I hear you. I was wrong, whatever. Like Sean said, a win is a win. Take your win and go. Ain't no reason to keep digging into it and none of that stuff like that, because now you looking like the bad guy when most of the time we was looking at Alicia. And then on top of it, again, she is scary. She gets to play victim. So don't give her a reason to play victim, because she's looking for any reason at this point. The child was over there dancing and you ignored her, and she said she couldn't dance no more. I said, what? So don't give her no reason to play victim with you. That is too much. That's a real scary place for a Black man to be with her. Okay. So yeah, I agree with y'all. Sean, I have crossed over a little bit into the light of Erwin. Okay. You know, you pulled me over a little bit. All right. Elle said, come on over. Come on. It's warm over here on Sean's side. Come on over. Come on.
No, thank you. I'll grab a blanket.
Water is warm,
I'll grab a blanket.
One person.
Thank you.
This is what I wanted to talk about too. I kind of saw both sides of the Alicia Poole argument with Brandon and Kiki, because I don't know. I might feel a little annoyed if I'm trying to get some peace. And I know everybody want to say this ain't a vacation. It's a vacation, okay? You're not working. It's a vacation. Go away from me if you're trying to say something else. It's a paid one at that, because you're getting paid to show up. If you are busy and all of this stuff, just like, and then the person is not even here for you to be tussling. And from the looks of it, I don't know if it was editing, but it looks like she walked out eventually. She was being a little nosy. I'm not going to hold you, because I think that's why I kind of empathize with her a little bit too, because I'm a little nosy. So if you get to tussling around me, I'm not going to look at you, but I'm going to throw my ear in your direction because I want to hear what's going on. Can we be honest? I think all of us, maybe not all
but I'm
of us.
not about to run to you and tell you I was trying to protect my peace and chase you down.
Yeah. Okay, I got
anything.
you on that. I will concede she's being Alicia and doing too much. But if I now got to go in the kitchen, so if I got enough of your gossip from being by the pool, now I'm in the kitchen because I'm like, all right, now this is getting too much. And now you in the kitchen talking to other people, and I'm trying to get away. I might be a little bit annoyed.
No, still continue to get away. There's so much more house. The kitchen wasn't.
Why I gotta keep running away from you though?
You ran to me. That's the thing. You ran to me. I'm in the kitchen and you followed to the kitchen. You heard my voice talking to other people and you came in to tell me that I need not be talking about my situation with anybody else other than the person that I was talking to outside in the pool that I left, because you was there when it got big. You was there when it was just like, that person told me to mind my business, and I said, okay, I'm gonna go mind my business. And now I'm going to go mind my business. Now you up minding my business.
I get you. But it's like, I got to keep running around you. And he was just doing a general rant. And look, she gave him good advice. I mean, wrong messenger. We get that. I got it. but she gave some good advice, because you need to keep hashing this out with Kiki, because every time it gets to Kiki and Brandon, he gets frustrated, flails his arms, and then he's walking out. And then he wants to vent to everybody else. So I think she didn't necessarily say shut up or you getting on my nerves. She did say, like, I think you just need to be addressing these things with her instead of everybody else. So I thought it was good advice. It was the wrong messenger.
Has she walked in with that? Because I know you would. I know you would have walked in like, you know, I think you need to go finish having this conversation with your lady. But she didn't walk in on that energy. That's the thing. And that's what I'm at. It's not about the advice that she give or the message or whatever and stuff. It's the energy that she's claiming she's trying to protect.
Yeah.
She walked in, I'm trying to protect my peace. And here you are talking about your situation. Well, ma'am, go protect your peace away from me talking about my situation. You do not have to be in this kitchen while I'm talking about it. As soon as you heard my voice saying anything, you could have walked a whole nother direction in this house. But you free willingly came in here. And then you came in here on a sour note. It wasn't like, hey, I just heard what y'all said outside. I think y'all was a little harsh to each other. I had a word with Kiki before I came up in here. I just think you should go talk to her. She feels some type of way. That's a person that's concerned and trying to help.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think she was trying to help. I don't think she was trying to help.
She definitely was
trying to help herself. You know, I think in the midst of her chaos or the way she ineffectively handled it, there was a through line of good advice in there. But because I wouldn't, especially if I don't know them, I personally would not have interjected. I would not have. Yeah, no, I'm not saying
she don't know them. She doesn't know them.
No, exactly. I wouldn't, unless you ask me, because I just know what unsolicited advice gets you, especially in
now, Sean might have been in the kitchen. Sean might have been in the kitchen getting some OT.
I asked if Jay was in there. I'd be like, "Can you just make me a quarter of that sandwich? Would you make me a quarter? Not the whole thing."
I'll be in the living room.
I don't want to go all the way in with the bacon grease. I just want to sample. I'm not defending her, but I think, listen, everybody needs, even the guilty need defending, right? Everybody gets a chance. So yeah, I know Elsa. Sorry, go ahead. I know you want
He's a public defender, y'all. Don't worry about it. He just doing his civic duty.
I'm dying.
Sean's pulling out all the stops tonight. All the stops. I'm enjoying the show.
Narla, darling, I'm in a common area. There's more common areas in the house. You don't have to be in the same common area as me. You can go on about somewhere.
Yeah, now she knows how to go to the kitchen. She volunteered to go to the kitchen because she wanted see, and that's why I said that some people do not need to be entering other people's business, because you add more heat. The Bible talks about people like this who add more fuel to the fire. And you are one of those people, Alicia. You add more fuel to the fire. Keep quiet. You know what I mean? Mind your own. If you really were focused on really helping, and you'd have pulled him aside like you did with the yoga stuff, but you didn't want to do that. You wanted an audience, just like you did when you pulled up on Erwin, just like you did when you pulled up on Tay. It's always an audience with her. I just needed to chill. Stop doing it. If you want to have a conversation, pull that person aside, have that conversation, man. If you really care about them, you're going to put them aside. You know what I'm saying? She like, if I'm going to say something about Sean, I'm like, Sean, I'll wait till we talk outside. You know, we'll talk as boys. You know what I'm saying? To like, or if I'm going to talk to Jay about her situation with a man, I'm going to wait till we're outside and we can have a one-to-one. Why am I, if I really care about you, opening my mouth in front of other people when, first and foremost, the conversation didn't involve you? Actually, it's very controlling to do that, where you come in and you see me having a conversation with other people and you enter and then try to flip the thing and try to make it like I should go. No, darling, I was already having a conversation. Why are you involving yourself and talking about the house is not, the house doesn't need to be anything for you. You need to go and sit your ass down and leave me alone. For real, leave me alone. Why are you entering my space to tell me how I should talk with my peoples? Get the frick out of here. Go and sit down. Protect your peace.
It's like last season, he went to Irvin, kind of like how Chris last season said, "Go get your girl. Go get your girl. You better check her." That.
Well, actually, I think Brandon did the best thing possible, because if he now argues with her, we're now cussing out Brandon. And I've already told you I don't do them kind of thing. I don't argue with women like that. I don't want to do that anymore. So I think the right thing for him was to do, listen, get your girl, bro, because I can't talk to her. Go talk to her for us because we are tired.
But Jay reminded us, this is her yoga partner. This should be someone she can find peace around. They just did the yoga session the other day, and now it's chaos.
You know, sometimes you just mind your business and wait for a good time to talk to that person and just go on about your business. I'm just trying to figure out how big this pool is, because she was saying she was out by the pool, you know, enjoying herself, and they started having a conversation. Now, sometimes this do happen, like Sean said, and we get a little nosy and be like, oh, we don't want to move too far down in the pool, so we can't hear them at all, but we want to give them a little bit of privacy. But if it was bothering and disturbing your peace, go to the deep end, on the other end of the pool. It was so much, that pool looked kind of big to me that you couldn't have to hear that whole conversation. I don't think they were screaming and yelling like that.
Well, listen, we saw how Ty and Brittany was tussling back across that pool. So clearly the sound carries.
They wasn't across the pool when they got the tussling, but they were some distance from each other. But he was talking loud for sure.
I just feel like I think this is a very unique situation. It's not like they were Brandon was in a closed room talking. He was out open talking in the kitchen, generally to everybody, complaining about Kiki. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, when you're in those times, it's like, I think about it like the real world. When you're in that real world house and we're having conversations in open space, there is no mind your business. You know what I'm saying? It's like your business, all of our business is out unless y'all are in a very private area having a conversation, but you're in the middle of the kitchen. What do I look like telling somebody to move, to get out? Like, you're talking out and open in the middle of the kitchen in a group where everybody has equal access.
I know this Negro ain't saying this nonsense right now. I know this Negro ain't saying this nonsense. Look, hey, you know you ain't talking this nonsense. Listen, it's not about the fact it's a public space. It's a private, it's still a private conversation. If you can sit there and listen. You can still sit there and listen. I get it, right? But when you enter in and try to tell someone something, yeah, go about your business. Move around, because if you then get cussed out, don't complain about anything else, because it was never your conversation to join in, right? If you wanted to say something, you should have said something outside. You followed me inside. By the way, she didn't follow. He was already inside talking, and you've come past and you stopped and said it's about your peace. Let's call it what it is. It's slightly narcissistic. You told them I want to protect your peace. Why do you keep walking past? Right? I'm not saying she's narcissistic, by the way. I'm saying it could be considered that way. It could be considered narcissistic, because if you're telling me that you want to protect your peace and you are walking past the kitchen, keep on walking and go and sit down and rest your soul, right? Or take yourself back outside where Kiki is and chill, because Brandon's no longer there. They're no longer arguing. Do you know what I'm saying to you? Then it's not. So that's what I'm saying to you. Like, you making it even about you. It could be considered a little bit narcissistic, because why are you making it about you? The argument is done. He's talking to other people. You go about your business. Is there somebody you want in that room that you want to talk to? Then say you want to talk to that person. That's cool. You know what I'm saying, Chu? Like,
Kiki done give us some insight.
She said everybody was tired. Everybody was tired of him. It seems like everybody was tired of you, Kiki. I can't lie. So I don't know. It looks like everybody was tired of you. I don't know.
Kojo,
I don't know. No, you're switching the narrative. The editor of what we are seeing is that they were tired of you. So I can only tell you what I can see. But you're saying that you were tired of him.
I'm just saying in this scenario, everybody is, it's adding some context to the fact that he was ranting on and on and on and complaining. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's something worth acknowledging.
But then why does Alicia have to be the savior of the room? There are many voices in that room.
She doesn't.
Could have stopped him.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She was wrong.
And that's where I was about to say is all the people that he was venting to. If one of them had said something to him, that's a whole different thing. But you're walking past and you stop to sit there and say, "Hey." And now I'm not saying she's wrong. He need to talk to that person that you're complaining about. They're right over there. Go talk to him. However, sometimes I just need a vent. Let me vent, because I need the steam off so I can have the conversation. Because if I talk to a person while I'm mad, it ain't gonna get good. It's not gonna be a good conversation. So let me vent. So if I'm venting to the people and they don't want to hear me vent, then they tell me something. But you following me into a space and then telling me about how I disrupted your peace outside and now I'm in here talking to this thing. Please go on about your business. Please go on about your business. Because I'm not in the mood right now.
So, and then I guess this is the other thing I see about it. It's like people like her, she just, and it wasn't even like she got all worked up or she went, I could see if she went crying to Erwin or was like, hey, Erwin, can you believe how Brandon had the nerve to talk to me? She got herself into some mess. She said a few things.
Lied.
One or two was,
and then lied.
If you want to say she lied, okay, then she lied.
Is it not a lie? If I say, oh my gosh, Sean, if I ask you a question and I say it's a lie, it's like Clay lying. It's a lie. I didn't call her a liar. She lied. It's a lie. If I ask you a direct question and say, did you say it? And you say, no, I didn't say it. And then you admit that actually, yes, I did. It's a lie. Is it not a lie? Am I lying? Is that a lie?
I mean, yeah, definitely it's a lie. But I mean, I just feel like that what she did was a little bit different. Like we all can all acknowledge there's different types of lies. Okay. There's a lie that you're trying to defend yourself because you're trying to defend your actions, right? Then you are blatantly misrepresenting something that never happened. You know, like, so, yeah, you want to call she lied. That's why I said, if you want to say she lied, I'm not arguing with you. You want to call that a lie, you can. I'm not going to get into it, but I think that's more of a nuance. And then she also acknowledged it at the end. Okay, I did it. You know, like, okay, I realized that I did step into something, you know, that I shouldn't have. So that's a whole lot different than you just completely carrying out a mistruth. But look,
but she did carry a mistruth. That's the whole point. When he asked her, it's a lie. Just like Clay. So wait. Clay also admitted it later on. So is that a mistruth from Clay, or is that a lie?
Again, Kojo, I think that the situations are very different. He said he was a vegan when he didn't need to, then lied about it and ate a sandwich. Then eventually, after he was caught in the lie because she had direct proof, he then told her, yes, you were right. But it was it wasn't in the same segment. If you call me out for something right now and you're like, Sean, did you do X, Y, Z? And I'm like, yeah, nah, bro, I don't get it. And then afterwards, like within the course of the same moment, and you're like, okay, you know, Sean, you did this, 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 and this. And then you maybe remind me of something that I said that I just forgot about or intentionally left out. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. I'm not lying. I don't see that as a lie. I'm like, we
intentionally left out.
Sean, come on. You can't
listen,
tell me.
You guys, I don't think we're going to get anywhere with this because to me, I see it more as nuanced what she did in that moment, where you guys see it as black and white. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong for seeing it that way, but I feel like it was nuanced. It's not the same way as Clay. It's not the same lie. We can't put those on the same levels, especially when she acknowledged it in the same conversation.
If someone asks you, there's no levels. If someone lied, she didn't even admit the information. The person said directly, you were in people's business. Brandon told me, no, I wasn't in business. You were, and it's okay. It's okay. You see, it's okay to call the lie a lie, Sean, right? And I know that the ladies, they be getting you twisted, and you can't admit when they're out here not being accountable, and when they're lying.
Ladies ain't got me nothing. I think
they got you twisted because you easily can call out Clay. You ain't got no problem calling out Clay. You got no problem labeling
me doing what? I'm doing what I need to do for me. Now you're gonna get me into a tussle because the ladies don't have me doing anything. I'm doing work for myself.
They got you.
Okay, no, they don't. Because who is in my ear telling me to think this way? There's no woman telling me to think this way. I'm changing.
Kiki's obviously messaging you behind the scenes. Clearly.
We're not even talking about Kiki right now. We're talking about Alicia.
I don't know what she
don't have nothing to do with this. Although I do appreciate her. You know, I just think we have to cut it out. Like at a certain point, we can have two different ways of seeing things. And I just feel like this is nuanced. And again, you act like I'm fully debating you. I said, I understand. I acknowledge how you can see that that's a lie. I don't see it that way. I think, I think she finally got to the point where
it's like what I said earlier on. You have a lot of, you found the grace for the ladies. And you said it earlier on about the.
Who should I have grace for?
We should be okay with. We should not be so fast to label people.
Who should I have grace for then?
Huh?
Who should I have grace for?
I'm saying to you, it's given that you've been compromised. I don't know if someone's messaging you behind the scenes. I don't know what's going on with you. I feel like I've lost my boy right now. It feels like one of the castmates got you from behind the scenes. Are they talking to you? Are they talking to you, Sean? Let me know.
You are out of.
You know, he was the first one to tell us Jay was in the comments.
You are out of control.
Jay was in the comments.
Don't use yourself. I don't even recognize you anymore. That's what I hear from you. It's okay. It's all right, bro. I'm here. Usually you would be right. Every season somebody does reach out to me, but you know what? This season I've been kind of quiet. So up until this point.
So what I'm hearing is a lie is not really a lie unless it's perceived to be a lie. That's what I'm
all right. Well, you guys won't take me down this drain, circling this drain around what a lie.
It's a little too late, Sean. You don't went down it already.
You
should have started.
No, I did. Because it wasn't a debate. Because I was not. I never said y'all were wrong about feeling like that was a lie. I never said, "Oh, you're wrong."
Not inadvertently, but you do that very cleverly, Sean. You're very smart, and you are the great debater when you do that.
Thank
you inadvertently don't. I never say I do it, but you inadvertently do it. That's
every single time.
Every single time. But we got your number.
After he makes his point, he say, "I have never said anything. I have stood on my square, but I have never said anything."
That's why he different Alicia now, because he ain't lying either.
John is Mr. Calling. He should have been in politics.
I was a political science major.
You did say.
So,
you did say.
4 years.
I'll go for you.
4 years will do it. But
I think we need. Go for it, Sean. Sorry, go.
Yeah, no, I just feel like on this particular topic, like around the nuance of did she lie or not, I just feel like it's just nuance in there, and we don't see it the same way. But I understand. I hold space for what you guys are saying.
The same category as Clay. I'm not going to put it in the same category as Clay. It was still a lie, but sometimes it's that quick lie. It's like, did you be in somebody's business? No, and then you got to circle back. Like, come on, man. Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, wait, yeah. It was that today. I'm not thinking about them people, or whatever. She can honestly believe that she was minding her business before she ran up in that kitchen, but at that point, she wasn't minding her business. So, but she still lied off rip. So she got to just slow down and hear the question sometimes, okay? Because people be doing this, lying off rip, because that's naturally within them to do, is lie. We don't listen to the question. We just got to lie ready. So her little white lie came back and got her.
So Elsa, now I got a throuple. It's Kiki and Alicia are my two favorite ladies.
I don't know if you have a throuple. I'm minding my business.
No, you're not. Because you I love me some Alicia in the comments. So you don't be Alicia now, as y'all accusing me of defending her, right? Don't be
She didn't hear the
Alicia.
question,
No,
Sean.
no.
She didn't hear the question. She didn't hear the question. Okay, right away. Ask her again. She got the lie in the pocket already.
You see how they do me? It be my own friends, and y'all don't even know the hell they put me under in the private chat. It's like,
No,
you know,
first of all, Sean, you wanted to come with this. I have the unpopular opinion. I want to tussle because I miss y'all. So don't try to sit here.
I didn't say I wanted to tussle. I wanted to share my unpopular opinions.
We're just giving you what you're asking for, Sean. We are being
I-
good friends
that's
and giving
what I
you
asked
the
for.
tussle.
You're giving me what I didn't ask for.
That's what it sounded like you wanted. I wasn't sure. Is that what you said?
That's what. See, now would that be a lie? Because I didn't tell
I don't
you
know.
what
I don't know.
I don't know.
I've
You
got
didn't clarify.
amnesia.
You didn't clarify. You should have told us to mind our
Now
business.
we got time for the gray and the nuance of it all, huh? Look how the shoe changes. Mhm.
It changes with the lies, I'll tell you.
Be your own friends. Look at that. Let me see. Y'all see in real time how they do me.
I'm minding my business.
I feel like Alicia now. Where can I run to? Who can I run to?
Into the sanctuary. That's what you can run
This is a communal space.
It's real talk, right?
I cannot. I don't want to hear you venting. I'm protecting my peace in this communal space right now. Okay.
Oh gracious. Any other thoughts before Deacon Sean has to round this up?
I mind my business.
Elsa, do you mind your business?
Oh no, I'm going to try to mind my business so I don't give folks the business. So yeah, the deacon could go on and give his benediction. I know it's going to be enthralling this evening.
Please, Deacon, take it away. Gather us up like Alicia did and said she did not do.
Oh, so who did I miss talking about? Just for my curiosity, we talked about Chris and Alex, or is that her name?
No, I didn't talk about Chris and Alex. They were barely on there, so I didn't talk about. So yeah, we didn't miss anybody.
So I don't know. I think I'm still, I'm gonna channel my inner Alicia. I don't know if this is a safe space for my benediction. Are you ready to receive my benediction?
Close the door, Sean. Close the doors, ushers. Close the doors.
Does your benediction have a whole bunch of meat in it?
To quote my favorite internet personality, I'm not leaving until we get some likes. Oh man, I love that lady, the lady in Pakistan. But anyway, yeah, I think what we learned today was, give your partner grace. I think that was a key message between Brandon and Kiki, as well as between Alicia and Erwin. I think they set the stage for grace, and understanding and giving people the room to be themselves, and also knowing when to hold them and when to fold them. And that applies in several different areas. So knowing when the relationship is not going to work, knowing when the relationship is not a good fit, and creating the boundary that's for you, because the boundary for you is not to control them, but to control yourself and control what you allow in your space. And also knowing when to hold them and when to fold them when it comes to an argument, and acknowledging it when the person does give you the room and give you the understanding that they got what they did. Right? People don't always show up the way we want them to show up. They show up the way they show up. And last but not least, we talked about Jared and Charlie. Dishonesty is a no-no. Being ethical, being a good person, showing genuine care for somebody, being upfront are key qualities that definitely we have to own and maintain. Back to you, Kojo.
Thank you very much, Sean, as well. Good session today. We had a good time, guys. It was unpopular opinions. It was great discourse, different views on things. It's always good when we get to chop it up in this way, because it's important to have different holistic ideas to things, right? That we can even agree and disagree, and still be able to be one. And that's what we are always aiming to do, So for those of us in the audience, thank you for sticking out for us for 3 hours and 20 minutes. And before you go, lock them doors, ushers. No, but for real, just press on the like button before you leave as well. It always helps with the algorithm as well. And thank you, all of you who've been supporting us as well. Continue to do so. We appreciate it. It's always love around here as well. Shout out to Phil, who also gifted 5 memberships as well. Yes, we'll be back to our membership lives this coming May as well, so don't worry, we'll be back on it. It's just I've been coaching a little bit, so it takes a lot of that energy, so sometimes I don't have the energy. But let me just say, here comes the money. Here we go. And that's as much as I can play, because copyright was on my ass. I can tell you that for sure. You know what I mean? They've been
thank you on mine.
What's going on? They've been on me, blood. So I had even AD people reach out to me and hit me up on one of her videos, blood. It was crazy. Or they didn't take the Virginia one, they took the AD and the old boy one, which is, I don't know if they're trying to create a certain scene. I mean, I like them. I was even saying good stuff on that video, you know what I'm saying to you. So I don't know why they were on it. But hey, listen, I get it. We're in a new season. Copyrights are getting hit left and right. People want their money.
Because you got more people than them and you taking away their views.
Damn. It'd be like that. But you listen, look, we gonna love and like, and we gonna appreciate. And if you haven't learned anything today, it is mind your business. Okay, mind your business. Okay, all right. A little bit of gray. Appreciate you guys. Stay locked, stay loaded. We'll see you again very, very soon. Much love. Doo-doo.